You should have taken the money trip. And plop. How you guys doing? Welcome everybody to our podcast. We have a special guest. Um, we have been trying to record with this podcast for a while, and I am very happy that is we managed to coordinate our schedules. It's so hard. What do you think, Ray, to record across the entire globe? Just that timeline
Yeah.
is crazy.
Look, when I mean, this isn't a live stream, but when I'm trying to plot out the time for live streams, it's like Australia it's 7 a.m. The US it's 5 in the afternoon on the East Coast at the least, but it's like 3 or 2 in the afternoon on the West Coast, and it's like 11 o'clock or midnight in Europe. So and then there's that chunk of the world like India and Southeast Asia, which it's the middle of the night and only crazy people are awake. So time zones suck. We have said this before. We will say it again. Time zones suck. But hi from the future. Way ahead of you guys.
And to you guys, we have the crew from MonoRants. I'm actually a fan. I listen to every episode myself. And since we are typically a long format, you could actually take this opportunity, pause us right now, go into your catcher of choice, and find MonoRants. Download, listen, and then come back to us. We'll be here waiting. And you guys, can you introduce yourselves and tell our listeners what your show is about and where they can find you?
Hey, thanks for having us on, guys. I'm Mono, and Kira is here as well.
Hello.
And we are MonoRants. We have 2 podcasts. One that we, one we first started with on Amazon's superhero TV show, The Boys. And while that's off air, we cover some of our favorite movies over on MonoRants The Movies. And there we cover films, our purview is basically films you may have seen at house parties. So old cult films, lesser appreciated films, and then just some kind of random gems. Really just whatever films we love as well.
Awesome. It's a great podcast. I really enjoyed. And I'm sure you're tired of me here. We reach out on Twitter, and I tell you every single time. And I thank you so much for producing that kind of show. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys
are welcome.
Really appreciate it. Sorry.
Do you guys ever do like B-grade horror movies?
Oh, we're definitely going to be doing some. Don't you worry.
I got a recommendation for you. It's called The Lair of the White Worm.
Hey.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's a British horror movie, and it's got what's his name? Professor Google, save me.
Professor Google is very intelligent.
Google knows way more than I do. It's got Hugh Grant in it, a young Hugh Grant.
No.
Very interesting.
Oh, wow. There's
1988, Amanda Donoghue, yeah.
There's a few that we really want to cover. There's a couple of 50s and 60s ones we really want to do, like Teenagers from Outer Space and This Island Earth. And then a few...
Aren't all teenagers from outer space?
There are no teenagers in that movie. That's the best bit of... There's no outer space and there's no teenagers.
And
that's one of my favorites.
Truly awful. It is fantastic, and I think because made recognition. An out of print copy.
The video game. 1960s retro feel to it, and the whole movie was actually showing in the video game.
Oh wow.
You guys turned into robots, so please don't invade us.
um
Well, your audio broke up and you sounded like robots. So you've been given away now. We've discovered that you're robots from outer space that have invaded.
yeah,
So.
sorry guys, we didn't want to tell your secret, but it came out, so.
Oh, and they're gone. We outed them as alien robots and they've just run off to kill us. They'll be here shortly.
Yeah, so good times.
We're back.
Good times.
Yay for internet.
Thought about scarpering because you revealed their secret.
Yeah, that's what we just said that while you were away. Yeah, I'll just say one more thing about the Lair of the White Worm. Peter Capaldi, a very young Peter Capaldi, who everyone should know as I can't remember, he's like the 13th Doctor or something. Or
I know him as Malcolm Tucker.
Doctor Who. But yeah, he plays in that movie. He's Angus Flint, one of the heroes of the movie. I didn't realize that because I didn't recognize him. He was so young. It's like, really?
Yeah.
That's him? Wow.
That's what happened to me on the cast on the movie that we were watching for the show we will talk about in the other segment. Barely recognized all the cast because they're so young.
Yeah.
It's great. It's crazy.
Oh, we recognize many of the cast, but for a different reason. They were all on Stargate.
Oh, I see.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so we're gonna go into our first segment.
Define science fiction remnant.
And for this segment, basically the idea is, if you know someone that has not heard our show and they love sci-fi, how would you describe us to them? And you can tweet at us or call our number and leave a voicemail on our hotline. The number is 1-305-563-6334. For a chance to get a mentioned, or we actually will play your recording on the show. For today, I got one from Geek to Me Radio. And tell me what you think, Ray. He says, Sci-Fi Remnant Podcast, the new final frontier.
Ooh.
I don't know. That could go everywhere. It's a reference.
I don't know if we're a frontier so much as we're looking back and going, hey, look at all this cool stuff you probably haven't heard about.
Yeah.
I suppose you can have a frontier in the other direction.
Yeah, you could. So
I kind of feel like we're science fiction archaeologists. rediscovering old classics.
You point that is a great point, because for how we like pick apart the IP, isn't that what archaeologists do? They take the bones and they, I don't know. It sounds to me, it sounds on the money.
Yeah, we look at the thing and we try and work out what the hell they were thinking at the time. Why did you do that?
Yeah. So, yep. So if you want to be mentioned on the show, just go ahead and tweet us or call that number and leave a voicemail, and we'll play it on future episodes. So let's go to the next segment.
Oh, well, I have
science fiction.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are MonoRants.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable and Open Pike Night.
This is Sci-fi.
Hey, you guys were on that one.
Oh yes,
from day one. Every week.
Yeah. Have you heard our show, Ray, yet? I know, your list is growing because of me. I'm sorry.
Well, I just realized I'm gonna have to get the newest one, because the one that I have doesn't have Jesse on there.
Oh yeah, I can send it over. But yeah, the monorams have been there from day one. And if you guys have been listening to every episode on season two, when we started playing This Is Sci-Fi hashtag, you'll notice that they're there too. So thank you. And
you.
yeah, Ray, what I was saying, if you listen to their podcast, they play that in every episode.
Oh, cool.
So
Cross branding. I like it.
but this brings me to the point, and this is what we usually mention in every episode. The point of This Is Sci-Fi hashtag has always been a way to bring everyone together. So if you're a sci-fi creator of any kind, if you're a sci-fi fan, you want to follow and tweet to that This Is Sci-Fi hashtag. So as a way of you know growing the community, getting together under one flag. And the reason is you hear me say this in every episode, and I think I will never get tired of this. It was really hard for me to find, a let's put it a flag where it's all about sci-fi. And I enjoy all sci-fi. I I know in the past, you have your Star Wars flag and you have your Star Trek and Stargate, and there's those silos. But I wanted to make sure that yeah, you could be in the silos. Obviously, I really appreciate those, but there should be a way where we can all join together and talk about all this stuff. Because let's say for example you're a Stargate fan, and you're in those silos of Stargate, uh, but you will only reach the people that are in those silos. There could be either someone that is a fan already or someone that is curious because someone mentioned and they're following. But if you're in a flag that follows all sci-fi, you have a way to reach a lot more people. There's going to be people that might be there for Star Trek, and they hear someone talk about Stargate or Star Wars or whatever it might be, and maybe they have not heard it, and they're like, okay, so they start a conversation. And this is pretty much what I hear from some comments that I get on Twitter as to the discovery factor of it. And I am just tickled to death because this is something that I only envisioned towards the beginning because it was something that I wanted for myself. And I see now how that it actually came into place. So, that's the whole idea. So you could actually um, tweet on that if you have anything to post, or just follow it, and you'll encounter a huge conversation. I mean, I know you heard Ray talk about this in every episode, and how huge that conversation is, and how easy it is to get lost into it. So, have you, Monorants? Have you what was your experience for this week, if you can recall? And I know we're all busy, sometimes we don't have a chance to it, but have you been into that hashtag, and if so, what has been your experience on that?
I haven't been in it much this week, to be honest with you, and listening to you talk about how altruistically you use it, I feel a bit guilty for using it so selfishly, because I mostly only use it when I'm tweeting out like new episodes and stuff like that. But that said,
don't. That is the whole idea. And some people, I know this conversation has come up before with other people where they saying, okay, I only use it when I post my episode. No, please do. Because the whole idea is if you post something, it's sci-fi, and there's going to be some people that either are creators that are looking for new stuff, or they are fans. They happen to see your episode, and they're like, oh, hold on a second, and they'll click on it and they'll discover something new. So don't feel bad for that, because that's the whole intention. If you're a creator, please, 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 please post.
oh, I'm not going to stop. Don't worry. I just I hear you talking about it, and you like, and I see when you like, I've seen interesting things that you've posted, using this is sci-fi hashtag, like articles you've shared, or like questions that you, stuff like that. So it's a great way to generate just like interaction and conversations around sci-fi topics as well. But as I said, I just use it that little bit more selfishly at the minute. I should try to be more like you, though.
That's quite all right. I enjoy the post, and then if you guys have have seen some of the posts that I do, is I find some articles that I read throughout the day, and if I find something interesting, sometimes I post about just pure science, and I feel a little guilty putting that this is sci-fi hashtag on it because they're just pure science. But half of those posts are actually with this is a sci-fi hashtag, and those are articles that I might have read online about some sort of sci-fi topic, or what is the best movies now on Netflix or something like that. So I usually like to post articles that I find interesting, so everybody can enjoy as well.
Robert, I wouldn't feel too badly about that because stuff that's being discovered about space and science now was science fiction until it was discovered.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at like 1969, Man on the Moon. In the 1930s, that was science fiction, and they were making movies about it and writing books about it and talking about it, and they didn't think it was going to be possible. And I'm still flabbergasted that man's first powered flight was in the start of the 19th century, and before 70 years had rocked by, we were on the moon. So I mean that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So science fiction can become science fact very quickly in the grand scheme of things.
That's one of my favorite space travel facts is that I can't remember the name of the astronaut, but one of the astronauts on the Apollo missions, his grandfather was old enough to read about the Wright brothers' first flight and to see his grandson in space.
Wow.
So he had both within the span of his lifetime.
Nice.
So basically, mankind went science. Let's forget about it.
Yeah, and now we've gone the other way.
Nice. So for this segment, we got our very first voicemail. So again, I want to point this out. If you want to be heard on our show, do leave us a message. It could be a message for any of our hosts. Anything that you like to hear in the future, your thoughts on previous episodes, your thoughts on future episodes, or anything that you want to say, just go ahead and call that number. The number is 305-563-6334. We have
it should be 555. This is sci-fi.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Cool. This is sci-fi. So the first voicemail that we have today comes
first one ever.
Number
one. If this was a forum, you could write first.
Yeah.
Do people still do that?
If you're in middle school, middle school.
And kids still write.
If it's on their phone and they're typing with their thumbs, yes.
So we got our very first voicemail, and let's see, no one could be outdone now because this is the first. Mr. D, he goes on Twitter under the name Ace Sipowitz, and he is the voicemail.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hopefully you guys are having a beautiful, blessed day, a wonderful day. This is Ace Sipowitz off of Twitter. And I just wanted to know, what were your plans for you guys moving forward for having more special guests on your show? I know I'm kind of late calling, but that's one of the questions that I had. And then number two, I really do appreciate your show and the vast variety that you have and the different topics that you cover. So hopefully you get a chance to answer my question, and we'll see how things go going forward. Hope you guys have a blessed day. All right, peace out.
Awesome. So I guess I'll go first, Ray. You can add up to that. Yeah. We're always looking for inviting hosts to our show because we just love the conversation. We love having the conversation. I would have to say one of the things that we find challenging at this point is the fact that we are basically across the globe. So it makes it that much more difficult to coordinate and scheduling, because not only do I have to coordinate within the host of the show, but then once that's ironed out, then I have to coordinate with the guest. I'm sure MonoRants, I feel, the crew of MonoRants, I feel very apologetic because this is what they had to go through to be on the
Stop.
show today.
Stop. It's fine.
So
Happy to be here.
thank you. I really appreciate it and your patience. I mean, for all of you out there, we are recording on Sunday. It's pretty much about 8 o'clock, and it
Speak
is
for yourself. It's not
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday for you. Two-thirds of us, it's Monday.
It is 1 o'clock.
You're a minority.
Yeah. So that shows you right there what we have to go through to record the show. So I just hope that the hard work that we have put into coming together paid off in a way that you can enjoy. But yeah, we have many more episodes planned where we're gonna invite hosts, I guess, to come in. And maybe we can have the crew again for MonoRants come in for future episodes in later on. You want to add to that, Ray?
Yeah, sure. Look, these days you don't have to sit together in a studio to record something. I haven't checked how many kilometers or miles that Robert and I are apart when we're doing this every week, but it's a significant number, something in the realm of 10,000 plus kilometers, which would be 7,000 or so miles, maybe. But yeah, it's all just numbers to the internet. So you can do this sort of thing. You can have an international podcast recording like we've got here, or you can have an international live stream. The only hassle is finding times where everybody can make it, because it's all different times. But yeah, as I've said many times in many different places, time zones suck.
Yes,
but you can do it if you put the effort in.
Yeah,
so you can get together with sci-fi lovers from all over the world.
Yes,
and that is cool.
I propose we get rid of time zones.
That could be hard. I don't want lunch. I don't want lunchtime to be in the middle of the night, because that doesn't work for me. Sorry.
Who works night shifts and who has dinner regularly at like 7:30 or 8 in the morning? Yeah, it's not ideal.
Oh wow!
What is normal? We have no idea.
Yeah. I think that's a perspective. But okay, so the next segment.
Shout out.
Alrighty, so Captain Chaos is not here. He's currently chaos on a train somewhere in Florida, so he's not available at the moment. That's like Snakes on a Plane, Chaos on a Train. He's doing a sequel. So
he's in a fitting state.
That's right. So for shout outs this week, we've got Geek to Me Radio. I haven't caught that one myself. Do you have any reference to that one, Robert?
Well, I really appreciate their engagement. They're always sharing our post. They're always within the conversation, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate that from anyone. It's just engagement. Going back to the "This is Sci-Fi" hashtag, the engagement helps the promotion of that. What I'm trying to do, which is bringing everybody together for sci-fi.
Next up, we've got Angelus. I've never heard of him before. Don't know who he is.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy? Yeah, he lives about 8 hours north of me by car in Bris Vegas, and he's actually my co-host on the Elite Army live stream. Good bloke, a bit rough around the edges, but he's got a good heart, and he really does like his sci-fi. He's big on Blade Runner and and cyberpunk and all that sort of stuff. So if you get into a conversation with him about that stuff, you won't shut him up. Just be warned. Okay. Next up, we have Damn It Beans. There's lots of beans. So Damn It Beans. I think we mentioned Damn It Beans last week, didn't we?
Yeah, and I want to say something. Beans and Sayyadina Heresy and Jade All Day USA 2. The conversation was going strong today on one of the posts that we did. So I just want to point them out basically for just keeping that conversation going strong. I mean, really interesting topics. It got talking about, N. Night Shyamalan's movies and how they want us to do signs eventually. So yeah, I basically want to point them out. I'm sorry?
Can we come on if you do signs? I hate that movie.
The movies you love to hate.
Definitely. And that's the conversation, that they started this, and it's going like how there are points, there's points for hating the movie, there's points for loving the movie. And like we said in the past, just because you hate or love something doesn't mean you're wrong. The engagement is what we love, and how they're all in the conversation, talking about that specific IP. So that's the reason why I'm bringing them up for the shout outs. And I appreciate everybody else that has done this throughout previous weeks as well.
M. Night Shyamalan kind of sort of goes up and down, doesn't he? He made that absolutely atrocious The Last Airbender live action movie. I'm a big fan. My son and I, he was about 7 at the time, we watched all of The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. And we enjoyed the hell out of it. And then I thought, oh, there's a live action movie. I'll just put that. Oh my God, turn it off, ruin everything. So
is it really that bad?
It's a shocker.
Oh
don't. You'll just want the time back, and you will never get it back. Don't watch it.
The Last Airbender?
The Last Airbender live action movie by M. Night Shyamalan.
But I like that movie.
Crap. Oh no. You can't say that. No. You're lying.
Well,
I know you have better taste than that by now, Robert. You're just winding me up.
No, if he listens to our podcast, he has no taste.
No.
He's listening to know what not to do. Negative control. Every good scientist knows about negative control.
And I think we have 2 more.
Yes. Manic Pixie Weirdo. I've mentioned her before in the fact that she is a very big proponent of podcasting. The number of different podcasts that she retweets on a daily basis is just epic. Follow Manic Pixie Weirdo if you want to find new podcasts, because she follows so many of them. You could fill your day and your night up with podcasts and still have some left over, I think.
Yeah. We really appreciate the great support. And I personally have discovered good podcasts from following her. So,
yeah. And the last one is FSF Podcast.
Yeah. Great podcast. I've been there a couple of times on that episode. And you guys have been the crew. Was it the entire crew, or was it just you, Mono, that were with them?
For what did we do with them?
Moon Night.
Yeah, we went on for Moon Night. That's great fun. They're great guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great podcast, and
they managed to get as well. They get some very, very impressive guests.
Yes. It's really cool. I don't know. I keep on telling Tim that when I grow up, I want to be like him.
Speaking of guests, there was a question in that voice recording that we listened to earlier about what are we doing going forward about guests, and I got to say that my good buddy here, Robert, is a bit of an elitist because he invites other podcasts onto our podcast. But of course, there's all the other fans of sci-fi out there who, aren't making a podcast but are absolutely sci-fi nuts. So we could have guests on that aren't podcasters,
yes,
but are just sci-fi fans. I mean, it's a low bar. You're a sci-fi fan, you have a movie you want to talk about, come talk to us. We'll look at it.
We've done it.
You might think that, but we got a fan of the boys on to come and talk about the season 3 when we did our episode, and they out-talked us.
Yeah, we just invited on Twitter to leave us their opinion. They could ring into us, leave us a voicemail, share their opinions as well. So, and we got some really, really good feedback and some really interesting angles from other people.
nice.
Oh yeah, the more perspectives that you can get on an IP, the more you understand it. As far as I'm concerned,
Definitely.
Good and bad.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with Ray on this one too. It's if you want to be on the show and you have a movie to talk about, you know where to find us. Just come over. We'll love to have you if you can manage the time zone.
No, the time zone monster. Yeah. And you're not too intimidated by our conversation, because we can get stuck in sometimes.
Yeah, and off the rails. So but what else?
Rails? There was rails.
Awesome.
Rails where we're going. We don't need rails.
Okay, so let's go to the next segment.
The Outer Remnant.
And Ray.
Oh my god.
What do you It was a party.
It was a party.
It was a party.
It was a party because it wasn't stupid early AM for me for a change. It was awesome. We finished recording at like 1 a.m. my time, and I was like, awesome. This is great. I'm not hyped up on caffeine because I'm still asleep.
Oh my God. We got invited over to the Geek Cave podcast to be, they produce different shows on their podcast. I enjoy all the shows, but the show that I want to say I enjoyed the most, it might not be 100% accurate, only because I laugh so hard. And this is basically the basis on that is where they kind of force the other into watching a movie they haven't seen, and it might be atrocious. And it's so funny how one is defending the movie and the other one is just destroying it. And then if you watch the next episode, it's kind of like payback, because then it's the other one's turn. So I guess that's the reason why I enjoyed that one. And it's very short, So we got invited to talk about Bakaru Banzai in the 8th dimension.
Bakaru Banzai adventures across the 8th dimension.
And it was
yes. I'd say so.
Oh my
God. We were told before we started, you're not allowed to go too deep into this. We're a very shallow podcast. We run across the surface of the water. You guys do the deep dive.
No deep dives, and that's what I tried. Yeah. I did. I'm very happy because I managed to do that.
You cannonballed, didn't you?
How hard was it?
There was no water left in that pool.
I threw a few sinkers into their mix just to mess with them a little bit. But they have an amazing dynamic.
Yes.
Was it Justin? I'm trying to remember the guy who was sitting on the far right when I was joking around, because I'm Australian, so born joker, and he said, hey, I'm the funny man, you can't be telling jokes.
Oh, watch me.
And I said, challenge accepted. So,
oh my God.
It's when you can get the funny guy to crack up laughing, you're doing something right.
Yeah. And we I want to say here in the show, I'm sure they're listening, that we thank them very much. It happens to
was
be that
fun.
we are the very first podcast they invite into the show. So, and not only that, that show is usually between the two. I don't know if you noticed that, right? Darren in the middle, he never appears on the show. So
He said he
showed
was
up.
on the first couple and then he just vanished because he had
Yeah.
things to do.
So yeah, we had the entire crew of that podcast, and we have almost the entire crew because Captain Chaos drop. He had some issues.
Technology, man. He needs
I'm
something.
telling you.
I keep telling him you got to hold the tin cans as far apart as possible so that string is taut, or it's not going to work.
Yeah, any slack and the call will drop. So, but whatever. So yeah, we if you I like to think that the podcast is going to be released by the time you hear this. If you want a good laugh, us and them together, you might want to download that episode. It was a lot of fun to record, and we couldn't stop laughing. Okay, so are we ready? Are we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm teetering between I'm never ready and I was born ready. The point of this episode is going to be.
Yeah, let's go. Hang on.
I've watched it 3 times, and I felt one was each of the times before I watched it. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like, oh no, this film. Oh no, I'm ready.
No. We had an issue though because we watched it on a streaming service, but then I have a hard drive, but I also have a DVD copy, and all 3 copies are slightly different.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Which involved going back then to other ones and going, wait, that scene isn't in that one. So I ended up rabbit holing myself before I even started talking about it.
And I had to ask question: are any of those copies a bootleg Hong Kong copy?
No.
Well,
good if they
no. The hard drive one is
that's the one with extra characters in it.
Yeah, and kaiju.
Kaiju, yeah. Well, wasn't that the first movie?
And the third movie is also very kaiju heavy. Yeah, because it was on Prime.
We watched it on Prime first, and we watched.
It's a Blu-ray rip.
A Blu-ray rip that was like the director's cut special edition, the one that has like the half-hour anime
Dark
as well.
Fury.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I've watched that. That's good too.
I love Dark Fury.
I'm a bit of a fan of Robert B. Riddick. I think it's Robert B. Riddick.
Richard
B. Riddick.
Is it Richard?
Richard.
Yeah,
Richard.
he's
Richard B. Riddick. Yeah.
He's Dickory Dick.
That was it. When you said his name was Richard to me the other day, I was like, he's Dick Riddick.
He's Dickory Dick.
He's so Dick they named twice.
Awesome. He can be a bit of a dick.
Oh yes.
Just a little bit. Yes.
It's the Furion in him.
Yeah. Well, that was where all the rewatching started, because there's some scenes to do with the Fury story that are missing in different versions.
Yeah.
Oh, so
yeah.
Little bit of seasoning goes astray depending on which one you're watching.
Yeah.
Which did you guys watch? Director's cut or theatrical? Or do you
Whatever was on Netflix, that's the one I watched. It's probably just the cinematic.
I watched it in Hulu, and to be honest with you, I honestly think I have a copy of it.
It's not on Disney Plus here.
Is it? So it's on Prime.
It's on Prime
it's
in
on
Europe.
Prime, it's on Hulu, and it's on Netflix.
It's not on Netflix in Europe, and it's not on Disney in Europe, but it is on Prime.
I think it is on Netflix in Europe.
No, it's not. It's Riddick, the last one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Licensing is crazy.
The 3 movies are over 3 different platforms here.
That last one actually has a really interesting story behind it, because Vin Diesel actually mortgaged his house to get money to go towards that movie to finish it.
Well, the man is a nerd.
Well, Vin Diesel got the rights to the IP, and he made the last one because he wanted a 3rd movie.
Basically, yeah.
Man.
That's serious.
And I'm sorry, I was going to say, every time I hear that, it just tickles me to know that, the story, if you heard our Riddick episode in season 1, you'll hear me say that it almost he almost didn't get to be the hero of the movie because that wasn't the plan. It was actually changed. So it's so crazy to know that we have an entire IP based on a change in a movie. It's kind of insane.
Well, you look at what he was like in the first half of Pitch Black, and he's like a serial killer. It's like they're excuse the pun, but they're pitching him as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then it sort of flips near the end of the movie. You realize, okay, he's got his reasons, and this is the idea that that the public have of this person, which has been distorted by the law, which is rotten to the core. And this guy's just trying to survive and trying to do his own thing, and he actually will help people if they'll keep up with him. They can't keep up with him, well, they're screwed. But that's survival. So and that's also in this movie when they're running across crematoria, trying to get back to the dock, and they're running across the surface. He says, "There's only one speed, my speed. You fall behind, you die."
But he, even before they get to the surface, when having a conversation with the Gulf, and he says when it happened, when they pop the cork, and he goes, "Oh, so they do let air in," and he's saying, "Oh, it's going to happen fast, stay on my leg or you'll be left behind." So he's already given them the kind of, I'm going to do something, come with me, if you can keep up, you can stay, before they've even gotten topside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for all of you who are probably wondering still, we're talking about it shouldn't be a surprise by now, but we're talking about the 2004 The Chronicles of Riddick.
It's written in the description of the.
That's exactly what I said to Kira 2 weeks ago on our podcast. When the listeners go to click on it, they'll know what episode it is.
We'll get there in the
end.
Can we presume that they can read, or
well, you just press play. Press play. You don't even look at titles and stuff like that. So.
Hey, let me do the plot before we get too deep into this.
Okay.
Because I don't want to do it at the end or leave it out entirely like we
have done in the past.
Oh, man. When you and Gian get going, oh, my God, I can't get a word in edgewise. That's okay. I mean, that's what you did for most of the first seasons. Makes sense. Okay, so 2004 Chronicles of Riddick. It's the second movie in the series. Go back and listen to season 1. Pitch Black is the first movie. If you haven't listened to that episode of this podcast, then go and have a listen to that one to get the progression right. But we're in the second one now, and that is the Chronicles of Riddick. It had a budget of somewhere around 105 to 120 million. They don't know, they obviously don't know how much it was exactly. Probably depends on how many lunches they made. But 105 to 120 million dollar budget. But the worldwide box office was only 115.8 million. So it kind of didn't do so well, which is probably why they had to work so hard to get the third one made. Personally, I didn't have a problem with this movie. I really liked it. But the plot is, let me clear my throat. Fugitive Riddick has been in hiding, evading bounty hunters and mercenaries sent to capture him. After killing a crew led by mercenary Tombs and stealing his ship on planet UV, he heads to New Mecca on the planet Helion Prime after Tombs reveals that his bounty originated there. Riddick is reunited with Imam, the holy man he rescued 5 years earlier. Imam believes Riddick is a Furian, a member of a race of warriors long thought extinct, and wants to know about his homeworld and if anyone other than himself is left. Imam believes Helion Prime is the next planet to be conquered by a mysterious force crusading across the stars. Arian, an air elemental, identifies the army as the Necromongers, religious fanatics who seek to convert all human life and kill those who refuse. The Necromongers attack and take control of the capital in a single night. In the battle, Imam is killed and Riddick escapes. The next day, the Necromonger high priest called the Purifier coerces the populace into converting, except for Riddick, who kills the man and who killed Imam. Wow, that's hard to say. Who kills the man who killed Iman? Let's try saying that 5 times fast. Intrigued, the Necromonger leader, the Lord Marshal, orders Riddick be scanned by the quasi-dead, half-dead telepaths who determine that he's indeed a Furian survivor. Lord Marshal orders Riddick's death, but Riddick escapes only to be recaptured by Toombs. Yeah, that Toombs guy is very keen. Riddick is taken to Crematoria, a harsh subterranean prison moon where Jack, the girl Riddick has also rescued in the first movie, is being held. Obviously, for most of Pitch Black, they thought Jack was a boy, but it's actually a girl. The Lord Marshal sends Commander Varco to hunt Riddick down. Varco's wife speaks to Arian, who reveals that Furia was devastated by the Lord Marshal after he was told a child from that planet would kill him. Dame Varco and her husband determine Lord Marshal wants Riddick dead, as he may be the child of said prophecy. On Crematoria, a disagreement breaks out between Toombs and the prison warden over what Toombs is owed for Riddick's bounty. In this universe, you capture a bounty and then you take it to a prison, and the prison pays the bounty on the criminal. I'm not quite sure how that works, but that's what they do. Moving on, logic be damned. Once word of the Necromonger's existence reaches the prison warden, he deduces that Toombs has stolen Riddick from them. Meanwhile, in prison, Riddick finds Jack, now named Kira, and reconciles with her and kills a guy with a teacup. That was freaking awesome.
That was awesome.
The guard kills the bounty hunters except for Toombs, who takes the reward money and prepares to leave before the Necromongers arrive. After leaving Toombs in a cell, Riddick escapes the prison and leads several prisoners across Crematoria's volcanic surface to steal the ship. And we should mention that as this planet turns, basically the surface balls with plasma as the sun hits it because it's that hot. That's why it's called Crematoria. So basically, if you're on the surface when the sun hits it, you die. And not in a good way. Now, where was I? The guards reach the hangar just as the prisoners arrive to find Necromongers have cornered them there. All the guards and prisoners are killed, and Riddick is incapacitated by Varco. Now, the way that's described, it sounds like Riddick was a bit of a pussy, but no, he wasn't. He killed like 40 or 50 Necromongers before he went down, and that's only because Varco waited until he wasn't looking and King hit him, because that's what Varco's like. With the approach of the deadly sunrise, Varco leaves Riddick to die on the runway of the landing pad, and the Necromongers capture Kira and take her away. Riddick is saved by the Purifier, who tells him that if he stays away from the Necromongers, the Lord Marshal promises not to hunt him. The Purifier then reveals that he too was a Furian and encourages Riddick to kill the Lord Marshal before committing suicide by walking out into the scorching heat. Yeah, I was a little bit head-scratchy over that choice. I'm not sure why he did that, but
there's deleted scenes in the director's cut has a lot of the Furian backstory, which suddenly makes all the Purifier's actions make sense.
Right, I'm going to look up the director's cut because I want to know what the hell is going on there. I mean, I sort of got the Necromonger side of him, which was the psychological program side of him.
No, there are,
and the Furian were fighting. They were,
yeah.
And I think maybe he was just going bonkers because he couldn't reconcile between the two different sides of himself, and then he decided to end it all or something. But yeah, I'm gonna check out that director's cut. It sounds like a good move. Okay. Riddick then flies back to Helion Prime using Toombs' spaceship yet again. I'm sniffing that guy's spaceship. Meanwhile, Varco reports Riddick dead and is promoted to a higher rank by the Lord Marshal. Riddick infiltrates the main hall of the Necromonger's flagship, where Dame Varco sees him but encourages her husband not to warn the Lord Marshal and let Riddick strike first and pave the way for Varco to kill the Lord Marshal and take his place as leader. Because in the Necromonger Society, you keep what you kill. So obviously you have a pile of corpses in the cupboard because you killed it, haven't you? When Riddick attacks. The Lord Marshal presents Kira, who now appears to have been converted. Riddick fights the Lord Marshal in front of his army, who keeps the upper hand with his supernatural powers. When it appears Riddick is about to be killed, Kira stabs the Lord Marshal in the back with a spear, and he punches her into a column of spikes, mortally wounding her. Varko attempts to strike the wounded Lord Marshal, who uses his powers to evade the blow, but is stopped by Riddick, who then takes the opportunity to swiftly kill him by shoving a knife that the Lord Marshal had actually given him earlier, because you keep what you kill, and then snaps it off in his head, which was kind of awesome. Kira dies in Riddick's arms just before the Necromongers, including Varko, kneel before Riddick as their new leader. Cue credits.
That was intense. You have a whole army in, in a criminal in charge.
They turn towards him, and he looks up, like he's got his head in his hands because the girl that he cared about's just died. He's got his head in his hands. He sits down, and he actually sits down on the throne of the Necromongers, because that's what the seat was that was there, and he probably hasn't even realized that. And then he looks up, and Varko's walking towards him with this massive halberd thing, and it's like, oh god, now I'm gonna fight this dickweed. And and then they all just kneel in front of him. It's like, you keep what you kill. It's like, shit. What? I'm the ruler of these jerkwads now.
So I guess I can say now that, spoilers ahead.
This is Science Fiction Remnant. We do nothing but spoilers, dude. You can't deep dive without spoiling. It's just
oh wow. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, this movie, if you look at IMDb, is actually 6.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes. If you take the better of the two, because obviously they're like 29%, but if audience score is 65%. I don't get it. I love this movie, but, maybe because I'm such a huge fan, but the movie was fun to watch.
Well, as I said before we started, my good friend Doc Joe Sweeney, who was on the Logan's Run episode with us as a guest, he hates this movie. And I'm like, why do you hate it? And he can't explain it. He just doesn't like it. And I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that the first movie was very insular. It really reminds me, like the progression of these two movies really reminds me of the first three Alien movies. You've got this tight little claustrophobic movie. And obviously there's one monster in Alien. Sorry, spoilers of Alien. You should have watched that movie by now. It's 1979. Come on. It's probably older than you are. You have one monster in Alien, but you have many monsters in Pitch Black, but it's basically the same story of survival. Many go in, one or two come out, and the monsters have their fill kind of deal. But it's this tight claustrophobic story of fear and survival. And then the second movie just goes like Mount Vesuvius, just expands exponentially, and you've suddenly got all this backstory and all this other stuff happening, and the politics and the military and the big corporations, the megacorps, and all that sort of stuff. And there's all this other stuff going on, and where Aliens did it better than this movie is in the way it was presented. It's all about the context and the angle, and I think that the context and the angle of a military campaign is far more understandable to the average Joe. Not mentioning Doc Joe Sweeney, but the average Joe can follow that because there's been so many war movies that they've seen on TV. Or streaming nowadays because nobody watches television. But the paradigm of a military campaign is understandable, and then you throw in some aliens instead of the enemy military, and that makes it new and interesting. At least new and interesting for the 1980s when the movie actually came out. But this movie, it doesn't. It does have an enemy military, but they're very weird. in a good way. I thought they were they had this sort of vibe that was sort of dark and negative, but
very Roman
needy.
Catholic.
Yeah, but it was but it was very needy. They were looking for converts. We're converting you or we're killing you. It's our way or the highway to heaven, as it was. But they just rock up and they wreck everything and they take everything and then they move on. It's sort of like locusts, and it did feel very locusty with all the ships and everything. But I think that whole vibe and having one anti-hero fighting against them. If you look at the way movies are done these days, or most movies are done these days, they don't take many chances. And they don't take many chances because the viewing public is very set in their ways, except for the people in this podcast who like the weird stuff. But they stick to a formula, so much so that the massive corporations like Disney will only do reboots and stuff that they know will sell. They won't try anything new. I mean, back in the late 70s, there was this beautiful sci-fi movie, which we are doing, Robert. I'm not letting you out of this one. Made by Disney, of all studios, called The Black Hole. That one is mind bender. That one, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people in the late 70s who were doing drugs and going in and watching that movie because it really is quite surreal, that movie. But that was a Disney movie. They would never do anything like that these days because it's not safe. The amount of money you've got to put into a movie to make it look good these days and keep up with similar movies is so epic in the budgets that for it to fail, you lose so much money that they just don't want to take a chance anymore. So they redo The Lion King and The Little Mermaid and all these things that we've seen multiple times before. Now they're doing them in live action or full CGI. So, it's the same deal over and over again because they know that shit sells. But they won't try anything new. But here we have a movie that tried something new and it didn't quite take with viewing the average Joe viewing public. I'm sure that most of that 115.8 million that made the box office was sci-fi freaks like us, people who really love sci-fi and go along to it and can get something out of it because we have the sort of mind that can work our way through this somewhat complicated backstory. Because it was really complicated. There was none of this backstory in the first movie, and then suddenly, he's a Furian, and there's these wind people who know about them and do all this calculation to work out what's going to happen, which was really cool. I thought that was a great little thing with Dame Judi Dench. She was great in this movie, I thought. And this whole weird
no idea what was going on though.
Oh no, she's just reading the
she
lines.
signed up for it and was like, oh yeah, I'll do a sci-fi film.
She basically signed up for it because he stalked her. Essentially, it wasn't
best way
like
to get
full
cast.
blown, but like
He bullied her into the role.
No, well, yeah, sort of. And was like, I can't cast anyone else until you sign on. And she went, oh, okay. And then he taught her how to play D&D in between takes.
Nice.
Well, she got something out of it.
Yeah, I remember playing Escape from Butcher Bay too.
I haven't played that. Was it good?
Yes.
I don't.
It was
even
on
know.
the original Xbox.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Can you even get it now if you have the pass, the Xbox?
Yeah, it is on Game Store.
I think it's on the Games Pass, or it was at one point.
I think you get it as a box set with this and the second one, Athena.
Something Athena.
Dark Athena.
Yeah.
Assault on Dark Athena. I think it was the second one.
It's been a while. I'm gonna have to play it again because it's I played it. When was this released? I mean, it seems like to be a long time ago.
It was like 2000.
Yeah, 2004. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is really cool. What is your thought on? I mean, you hear us talk about it, but I'd like to hear MonoRants crew's take on the movie. And what when was the first time you see? I mean, did you see it at the theaters, or what is your experience with this movie?
I think I showed you this.
I can't remember. I think you might have. I
I-
had seen Pitch Black.
Yeah, no, I was always a fan
Mhm.
of Pitch, but I think I caught that like late at night on Film 4 year, like when it came out originally. And I don't know how I came across Chronicles of Riddick. I think I was just like, ooh, Vin Diesel, ooh, it's that character. I really like it, and I just bought it, and ended up loving it. But I do enjoy fantasy and this sort of fantasy sci-fi kind of settling. I was a huge Farscape fan, and this very much hits a lot of the same buttons that Farscape would. So I did find the culture, this weird necromonger religion that bizarre, because very similar to the Peacekeepers in
I love
Farscape and the
Farscape.
way they were. Yeah. Claudia Black, who's amazing in that, who was in Pitch Black.
Yes.
And Stargate.
Never mind the fact that are not Kingdoms of Amalur.
I was a big fan of.
As well.
I think when I saw Farscape for the first time, I was just I had such a crush on Claudia Black. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Not hard to do.
That was Aaron
Yeah.
soon. Yeah.
Yeah, the piece.
The gravelly smoker's voice as well really does it.
Yeah. So when this movie, not this one, but the first one, I was looking at the cast. I was like, Vin Diesel and Claudia Black. I have to watch it. I actually seen this movie the first movie. I seen this movie a couple of times too on the theaters, but the other one I saw multiple times. I remember going back and rewatching it because it was such an experience.
I think I might have actually rented Pitch Black from Extravision, which was our version of Blockbuster back in the day.
Rented it on VHS.
Probably was on VHS.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, most likely.
Robert,
so
Claudia Black
I'm not
is
100%
Australian.
on this one.
What was that, Ray?
Claudia Black is Australian, so there you go.
Oh yeah. Well, it was an Australian production, wasn't it?
It was mostly filmed
It was
in
like mostly
Australia
filmed
with
in
the
Australia, I think.
the production company. Because a lot of the I can't remember the name of the character, the Blue Priestess.
No, can't remember.
A lot of the supporting cast are Australian or Kiwi.
Oh, and if you want to hear Claudia Black's Australian accent, they let her use it in Netflix's Final Space, the animated sci-fi comedy show.
What was that again?
Final Space.
Final
Oh,
Space.
we got all robotic again.
That sounds familiar.
It was an animated show on Netflix, and it had David Tennant as the voice of the Lord Commander.
Yeah, he's like the bad guy.
Brilliant. Bad
3 seasons.
Guy.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's very
interesting.
Oh, I'm going to put that on my watch list.
Oh, definitely do. Very enjoyable. But I've always enjoyed this as well. Since the first time I saw it, you showed it to me. And
I think I was like, it's Lord of the Rings in space.
I have a big soft spot for early 2000 films. There was a glut of them that are this kind of action sci-fi horror mashup. So your Worlds and Resident Evils and AVPs and Doom and half of which we've covered on our own podcast.
Yeah. Anything Carl Urban was in the early days.
I have a real soft spot for them. And this definitely kind of slots into that as well.
Yeah.
Not so much, there's not that much of a horror element, but yeah, the action sci-fi definitely fits the bill for this one. And Pitch Black I was always a fan of as well. But this one, I get what you about it being a strange one, because the first one is so insular and self-contained, and especially now that we've gotten Riddick, which kind of goes back to the formula of the third one and is more
exactly like Alien 3. Just like
you
Alien
have
3.
this big bulbous thing in the middle that's trying to do something entirely different. And
Don't forget you've got Dark Fury tacked onto the front of that as well, which gives you a kind of buffer zone into the greater universe because they actually get picked up by Tombs in that and taken off to this weird alien who likes to collect rare specimens, and she knows something about him being like the last Fury and this great serial killer, and she wants to freeze him kind of the same way as in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. No, she has like sculptures and they're all like bounty or serial killers or mass murderers. So there's kind of a little bit of a buffer there into there being this bigger universe and this bigger threat before you actually get to Chronicles of Riddick proper.
Whenever I watch this film, I can never help but shake that it's a complete, not a vanity project for Vin Diesel, but Vin Diesel loves this character. And Vin Diesel thinks this character is the best character ever created in all of fiction. And he has this kick-ass world that he wants to create and show to everybody. And this was going to be the kind of the launch for it. And I can't help it. It doesn't necessarily lessen my enjoyment. There's certain times where Riddick is very, very Mary Sue.
Oh yeah, he was totally Mary Sue, but that sort of fits his character really.
Oh yeah, it lessened my enjoyment of it at all. Probably heightens it in two parts because it's not very seriously.
Well, it tries to be serious. Doesn't necessarily succeed.
That's why it
was very
take seriously. She will cut you.
That's right. Or if you don't take Riddick seriously, he will kill you with a teacup. I love it so much.
Can you imagine if him and Dave Flacco had just like hooked up and decided to take over the world? That would have been an interesting sequel.
What do you mean decide? They just would. It would just happen. They wouldn't
It
even
would
have
just
to talk
happen.
about it.
Yeah.
They just look at each other and go, yeah, okay, that's happening.
Yeah, it's
I
happening.
think from the second the knife goes into the Lord Commander's head at the end of the film, that is what Lady Vaco is planning. Is right. How do I get rid of Vaco to get with him?
Just unleash them on each other. She already controls him anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the scene in the prison where the guys are attempting to sexually assault Kira, and Riddick just rocks up and they're like, you're no big thing, blah, blah, blah. And he finishes his cup of tea and he puts the teacup down. He's just going, hey, if you don't piss off right now, I'll kill you. He says, what are you going to kill me with your teacup? He's going, yeah. And they're like, yeah, sure, give it a go. And he kills the guy. He's going, kills him with the teacup. And then the other two guys are like, and then he gets a ring pull out of a can of sardines, puts it on the rock where he put the teacup, and just looks at them. And they're like, nope, I'm noping out of here.
I'm a little sad. I wanted to see how that would happen.
I suspect through the eyeball would be probably the spot that it would do the most damage, or maybe the carotid artery.
That would.
I like.
Just jam it straight jugular or below the jaw.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I like how he's. Is it Irgun? Your man has got the knife in his back.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll have a piece of him.
And have a piece of him, and it takes him out with like one stab. But then afterwards, the Lord Commander comes up and is like, Irgun, one of my best. And Riddick just looks at him and goes, if you say so. I love that.
And then he floats out in a wave of smug.
Yeah. Shit-eating grins all around.
Oh, yes.
Also, whatever way Vaco delivers that, he is the Lord Commander and he is the holy half-dead.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, dude, yeah, try her, please.
So, some of the line delivery.
Tell someone who cares.
Yeah, because you obviously.
I am using my computer as a power bank.
Oh my god.
We have a Captain Chaos.
Captain Chaos is back.
We have a wild Captain Chaos. How you doing?
So, what do you think about this movie, Giancarlos? I heard that you don't like Chronicles of Riddick.
man. I didn't want everything is work backward for me. Chronicles myself. Oh shit! Look.
We're having problems hearing him. Oh man. Okay.
Your
robots
audio's
during
up
the
and
chat.
down like the Assyrian bloody empire. And now mine.
Yeah, for all of you who are listening and not watching the video, Gio just joined us, but he's still having some difficulties. As we like to call him, Captain Chaos. He's having his chaos. That's normal. So,
Can you hear me better now?
yes, a little better. So I heard you don't like Chronicles of Riddick.
Through myself, man.
No, okay, we lost him.
Gone again.
And he's gone.
That's pretty
Man.
much what happens every week. We're used to it.
Nice to see
The
him.
listeners are like, who was that masked man? Captain Chaos.
They reverse.
We should do a meme, you know?
Really? Another one? We were looking at Robert's collection of memes before we started the pod. It was entertaining.
Oh yes.
Yeah, if you like to look at those, just join our Discord. We have a link in the description, and we're trying to grow it, just like we do the This Is Sci-Fi hashtag. If you like sci-fi, come over and talk to us.
Hey, I've got some good news for you, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
I found the Alien bootleg description. It's now in our meme bank.
Oh, awesome!
So grab it from there and tweet it out. Share it with the world.
I will. And for all of you who have not listened to our Alien episode, go ahead and download it now so you can have a laugh.
Oh God!
I'm just going to leave it at
cracked up
that.
for like 5 minutes over that one.
I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, we found a great description of the movie, so just listen. And I'm going to go ahead and tweet that up so everybody can enjoy it as well.
Scream not working because space make death.
Oh. Oh, that's amazing. Can I have that on a t-shirt?
Sure.
It's like I am furious now.
Oh.
Oh, that is beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to read the rest of it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and post
bad
it.
English.
Oh, bad English. It's like mutated. Who will life to escaping? Who is bad milk blood robot? Scream not working because space make death.
I have seen that one, yeah. I remember Bad Milk.
Bad milk blood robot.
Yeah.
That is a really bad milk. Oh my God.
That's a bad milk robot.
Astronaut is possessed by egg demon, and new egg demon is come when eat bad noodle.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God.
This is what happened. We were laughing for 5 minutes.
We were trying to replicate it because we thought maybe it was like passed through translators after translators. No, we couldn't do it.
This is special.
This skill.
Is special.
Oh.
Oh my God.
When's the next anniversary of Alien? I want somebody to sneak that on back of like the next like 50th or 40th anniversary of Alien release.
That would be awesome. Well, this actually came off the back of a bootleg copy of Alien that was sold in Hong Kong at some point. I'm not sure exactly when.
Oh, brilliant.
Hong Kong. It's from a Hong Kong bootleg DVD.
On some
and
parts of it, like egg.
Egg demon.
Egg demon is relevant. The eating the noodle. Well, you don't really eat it.
Oh.
But yeah.
Oh wow. I'm teary-eyed right now.
Who is bad milk blood robot? I mean, just combinations of English words that should never be, but it's still very funny.
Oh wow.
So what movie were we talking about again?
Didn't you say we don't follow rails?
Rails, we don't need rails.
You
The
know,
bad
one
milk
thing.
thing is just because in the second one, when he gets ripped apart, that was all milk that he actually had in his mouth for the Lance Henriksen
Oh yes.
for the effects
Yeah.
under the studio lights. It all went off and smelt sour and was
Ah.
chunky. He really was a bad milk blood robot.
He wasn't a robot.
But
He was playing a bad milk.
That we know
robot.
of.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh dear. So there's this movie called Riddick we could also talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have bad milk blood. He just has silver eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weird
That is
silver
awesome.
eyes that are such a plot point in the first one, and then are just kind of slowly written out as the movies go on.
Because I was like, I thought Eyes thing were because he was Furion.
No,
I just
apparently he
assumed,
played
and then
somebody
we
20
rewatched it.
menthol kill. It's a good deal.
Well,
then
actually, in
we
this
rewatched it,
movie,
I was
Kira
like-
says that was a load of bullshit.
Yeah.
Nobody can shine her eyes.
And
Does
it
he
could've-
have the same eyes as those dog porcupine, probably native to Australia things? They look like something that should be roaming around Australia.
You know,
Well,
it
if they look
seems
like it, they
it.
probably are.
Yeah.
It seems like it. Now, I remember when I first, heard of this IP and heard of Riddick and his eyes. And at first I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I would love to have those eyes. And then I thought about it.
No, really bad idea.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
I did like that there was callback to the first movie when the big fucking tower bastardy thing lands and all the ships pop off and fly off it.
Oh, when he takes off
And he
his
takes the
goggles
goggles and looks at it, and it like in Pitch Black when they're all coming out of the chimney,
Yeah.
the
That was
clay
really
chimney
cool.
things.
Yeah, that's a really nice callback to the first film.
And then also the aerial dog fight going on overhead with all the tracers and stuff like that. It's a really nice shot.
I'm sure Riddick was standing there going, "Here we go again."
Yeah.
Yep.
Time to go some parkour. And he doesn't even really. He just runs across.
Why is he running across the top of the buildings there?
Because
Like, I
looks
know a
cool.
bunch of guys came to get him in a man's house, and he dispatches them all pretty quickly, and then he runs off. But like, the whole planet is baited out. I doubt anybody's chasing him anymore.
No.
When he's like legging it across the
Well,
rooftops.
no. But that. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was about to say, but that's after he's from the quasi dead. But that's later, obviously, because they cured the.
Well, the Necromongers want to recruit good people into their army, and obviously at one point they wanted him till they found out it was Furion, and then they wanted him dead. So there was a lot of wanting. I told you they were needy.
Yeah, well, one in one hand, the other. See which one fills up first. I question their recruitment tactics because surely more flies with honey than vinegar. Yeah, don't maybe not massacre a population the night you're.
Well, you say that, but perhaps they were just looking for masochists.
And I think the threat of converter dog doesn't have the same weight to it.
To be
if
perfectly
you walk in
honest,
and ask them.
Well, they walked in and were like demanded that they join them, and everybody was like, "Fuck you," especially Christopher, who I'm always happy to see, especially in
yeah, it's rare to see him not in makeup.
Yeah, he stands up to him and is like, "Fuck you," and the Lord Commander sticking his hand in his chest and all out has more of a shocking effect on the crowd than the entire of the pre-match. So why did he the leader of the planet and be like, if you don't do this is what I'm going to do to you, and okay, and then you kill the non-believers.
Who is the leader of the planet?
It's Helion Prime, but it's New Mecca. So are they two different cities? Is what's going on here? There doesn't seem to be any like superiority.
I wonder about that because it was mentioned that it was there's a lot of different religions. So I like to think that in a situation like that, you would have kind of like a cabinet type where
Yeah, there
you
doesn't
might
seem to
have
be
a
any sort of
representative.
authority or governing body
Yeah.
that seems to be coordinating it. It's just random soldiers who and
They may
it's
have
nice to
blown.
see
They
that
may have blown up the government building just
when
on
they
screen.
arrived.
Yep.
Did
It's
all the
nice to
monuments
see as
first.
well that the Necromongers use the Brannigan defense.
Or the Brannigan tactic, send
Yeah.
wave after wave of men at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a bit wasteful with their troops, considering that they were trying to build up their forces.
I really just didn't understand that bit when they're in the invasion and you've got the guy running through and it's kind of like that's this is it in this Lord of the Rings where they blow up the big wall and
at Helm's Deep, and
and he
the one
comes
orc
through
who's carrying
the bomb,
yeah,
and the really oversized Batman bomb.
But this one guy who's carrying the staff.
Yeah, and it's like, hang on, and when you see the light go up, and there's just a ring of soldiers, but there's fucking tons of Necromongers. It was like, dude, was it worth all the effort and destruction when you could have literally just stabbed them and kept going? Like, it looked pretty, but really,
Yeah, I think they just wanted to show off their
it
toys.
was a bit wasteful. Like, I would understand if they dropped that into the middle of like a massive troop or something like that, or into a barracks, but there's literally about 10 guys standing around them.
Yeah, it's a weird
surrounded in the middle of that crossroads. There's about 50 Necromongers, and then they just run on.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to show off their toys.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they really wanted to do, rather than running through the streets en masse, just slaughtering people, was to just gas them to sleep, and then they wake up in the conversion chambers, and the ones that convert, and the other ones get ejected out of the ship. It would have been far more effective, because basically the ones that would run at them and fight them are the ones that they'd want to convert, because they're the good ones. I mean, if you slaughter all of the fighters and then try and convert the other ones, you're just converting trash. So you're not really doing your army any favors.
Their conversion techniques make no sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of up the same
there's a
issue
lot-
I have with the LDS recruiting. They have a finite. They know in their there's going to be a finite amount of space
Is that
in
not
heaven.
Jehovah's Witnesses?
I think they're Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, I think
They believe there's a finite amount of space in heaven. So why are you recruiting more people?
Well, I understand more people because
Yeah.
why actually? Why are they recruiting more people?
What benefit? There doesn't seem to be any
Everything
benefit. They never list a benefit to joining their religion. It's like, oh, you'll live in the universe. What is it? What are the benefits? I get, oh, cool. I get to, be half a ghost.
Yeah, I've never
get
loved
dental?
the film.
Yeah. Because at the moment it seems to be trash. Everybody's a grunt except for her and the gold.
It's a really vague film.
It's
Like what?
And
what
also,
is-
how
what
are there
is-
six? He's the Lord Marshal because he and he alone takes the pilgrimage to go to the edge of the universe and comes back as the Holy Half Dead. But she says when they go into it that previous Lord Marshals have called this place home. So how the fuck has one of them managed to go to the universe and come back and lead a campaign? But yet there was 6 previous. What campaign were they leading?
Yeah, what did the other 6 do?
They were the ages.
They stayed at home and watched Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
what was the Necromonger religion
Was that the
before
40
him?
years of wandering in the desert? I'm beating the Christian metaphor to death here.
It sounds like being a Necromonger under the other 6 Lord Marshals was a lot easier than under the new guy. Anyway.
Yeah, because the new one.
But their
recruitment
tactics basically recruit trash and
Yeah.
idiots, the ones that weren't
They're
brave enough to
cowards.
fight. And then
And the
when
old
they run
and
out,
the-
they all just run out and die anyway. So
And then the first thing he says is, "Let's go replenish the ranks."
No, you
as if
just
to say,
slaughtered them all.
every time we do this, we lose a whole load of our people. So that's why we have to recruit.
Brannigan
So it's like
defense.
it's like a self-fulfilling cycle of, right, well, we need more recruits because we lost a whole load. Let's go out and convert some more people. Oh, we lost a whole load of recruits trying to get these converts. So now we have to go off to another planet and try again. And it'll just never end that way.
Yeah, plus he seems to slaughter a whole load of them when they do the big planet destroying thing because there's ships there.
Well, I think that's Eddie Mack. I just assume that with that it's they go like they do on Helion Prime and they attack and they get all their converts, and then anybody who doesn't convert they just leave on the planet and destroy the
Yeah,
planet.
but they
as they're
also
leaving.
leave when at the start, when you see kind of the first planet being destroyed by them, and there's numerous massive explosions on it. Every one of those explosions has like a ring of ships floating around it. Like you see it when they're trying to leave Helion Prime, when he's like, "Get my armada off the ground!"
Yeah.
And they have that weird, funky space jizz
Smoke
stuff around the engines that seems to power all their technology.
That was really cool. It was kind of sucking, like
kind of
what did
particles
it
or
remind me of?
dust.
Ray, I was going to ask you about that. What do you think? What do you think about dark matter?
Yeah, I was going to say dark matter. It's like it's sucking dark matter into the engines to power them.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about how do you levitate? You need to have some sort of, and then you see that black thing. So the only thing that makes sense in my head is, using dark matter to push up, regular matter. So I was going to ask you about that. But
I mean, it's a completely out there theory, but the only thing that I could think of that might react like that is, and it's black, so dark matter. I mean, it kind of, we don't know very much about dark matter, so it's a completely space fantasy idea, but it kind of fits as far as I can tell, but there's no basis to it.
Is there a way to explain the expanse of the universe? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that hazard to guess Ray put more thought into that explanation than the people in the film did. They're spaceships. They fly. It's fine.
Do the thing.
Put some black
funky
in it to make it look cool. Oh yeah, it looks cool. But I think that was the intended effect rather than, make something that makes it look cool.
Yeah, it definitely looked cool.
Hey, Kira.
Yeah.
Kira, I asked Professor Google about dog porcupine things. I got a whole bunch of pictures of dogs with porcupine quill beards.
Oh, and possibly pangolins, because those things do look like dogs crossed with pangolins.
Pangolin. Oh yeah.
Were you actually talking about
the ones in?
Were you talking about wombats?
No, I do like a wombat. No, they just look like they
about...
should have come from Australia because everything there looks like it can kill you. They look like feral fucking pancounts.
The dog thing they released on Victoria.
Yeah. Did you fit right in your homeland?
Did you know that the Australian Army lost a war against emus?
Yes, it's hilarious. And those things are fucking nasty.
Oh yeah.
Like
I've lost an entire bag of people to a mean.
Like the biggest, I think the most dangerous thing we have here is probably a badger.
Yeah.
And we just don't go near the bastard. Yeah. Like you don't even want to hit one with your car because they're benched to your car.
Yeah. I have actually seen live several cars hit kangaroos, and it wasn't good.
And kangaroo just gotten up again.
Kangaroo is probably fine.
I saw no, not generally. But I've seen a kangaroo go in a car window while a car was going at 110 kilometers an hour.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Oh no!
Like we have deer here, so that is an issue that we have here because we have deer, and you don't want to hit a deer at speed. Spindly little fairy legs. So you take out the legs and the whole comes through the windscreen. But that's ironically the most deer incidents happen in the Phoenix Park, which is in Dublin city centre. In the very centre of our capital city, we have a large park with a wild deer population that you can drive through.
And join you in the car through the windscreen.
Yeah. Oh, this time of year it's great fun because it's rutting season, and you always hear about tourists getting chased by the deer because they get too close to them.
Oh.
Speaking about not getting too close to wild animals, this was some decades ago. There's a little town called Wangaratta, which is south of where I grew up in the town of Albury, this is sort of north, the central northern part of the state of Victoria. So it's sort of down towards the bottom right-hand side of Australia. And, this is a little country town off the main highway. And I went down there to play golf, as you do. Trying out different golf courses, and so we get up onto this golf course, and there's this big hill behind the golf course, and it's wooded, so it's got eucalyptus trees on it. and the
bears.
kangaroos would come. No, that's not time. You're okay during the day, but the eastern grey kangaroos came down off the hill in the afternoon, and they were lying around on the men's tees because the men's tees are shaded. There's trees planted around the tees so you can stand on the tee and not get your ass cooked, because in Australia, if you stand out in the sun for 10 minutes, you're dead. We were rocking up to like the first tee, and there's like 4 male eastern grey kangaroos just lounging on the tee. And we noped out of there and teed off in the women's tee. Because you just don't go near them. It's just stupid. You live longer if you just keep away from them.
Like I've seen videos of guys going and like wrestling their dogs back off them and everything, and just the size and the strength behind them. No, I don't.
Thank you.
No, that thing is bigger than me. Like I won't even take on dogs that are like above knee height. So something that's actually taller than me that can physically grab me. No, don't want it. You're on your own with that one. Like I would never leave my house, and then there's shit in your house that can kill you there too. I couldn't. No, I would just be full of anxiety. I wouldn't be. I just couldn't cope. Like I'm out here with the huntsman spiders that come in, and like our spiders get the biggest ones don't get very big at all.
So to paraphrase Toombs, if you owned Australia and crematoria,
I'd be living in fucking crematoria.
You'd rent out Australia and live in crematoria.
Yeah, I just the anxiety would kill me. Spiders, man.
Oh, no. I will pay that one.
Oh my god.
No, I will give it the cutest spider I've ever seen does come from Australia, and that's those little tiny peacock spiders.
Oh yeah.
They are fucking adorable. I will give you those.
They are the little flags.
Yeah, they wave the little hands.
Yeah.
Them adorable.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you.
But you're so fucking cute. It's a pleasure to die by your tiny fuzzy hands. Also, possums are absolutely delicious. Because
now you're just trolling.
Yeah. Because we had the pleasure of eating them when we lived in New Zealand because they're a pest there.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Ray, for all of you who are only listening and not watching the video, he has put him a meme courtesy of our Discord. That's a ripped kangaroo.
That is one ripped kangaroo.
He worries me a little. I used to have neighbors that looked like that.
You can almost
maybe like strong enough to kick in like French doors, like patio doors, if they really wanted to have a go at you.
Well, the legs on an that's a red kangaroo. That's from Central Australia, but both red kangaroos and eastern grey kangaroos, the males are strong enough with their rear legs that they can disembowel a dog. That's why people are so worried about their dogs getting near the kangaroos and sort of dragging them away.
Well, I've seen them.
The kangaroo can lean up on its tail and just rake with its back legs, much like a velociraptor in Jurassic Park.
Hey
guys.
If you took that kangaroo's ears off and gave it a kind of glowy, silvery eyes.
Oh my god, it does look like Vin Diesel.
Oh man,
nice.
Comedy gold today. Really
somebody who's better at Photoshop. Somebody who's better at Photoshop. Please fix that.
grab that share as a finish up of this topic.
Oh, he's probably delicious.
He wouldn't even be finger food. He's that small.
Yeah, it's just that's an appetizer. You put him...
So there's this tiny little rodenty looking thing we're showing at the moment, and the meme is not all Australian animals will kill you. Don't get me wrong, he wants to, he just can't.
No.
That is so cute.
Now, talking about animals, I have a question, and it's just, you know me, I watch a movie and I get deep into these thoughts. What kind of animal, or let me say it this way, what kind of biology would facilitate an animal in Cremoria? Does that explain those dogs and how they seem to turn to stone when their spikes are down?
I think they may have probably been brought in because I don't think anything lives on crematoria. If it gets to what, 700 degrees during the day on planet
700.
side, self-cleaning ovens go up to what? 450.
So you're saying the planet's really clean?
Yes.
Well, self-cleaning ovens go up hot enough to burn off all the
Everything,
it turns
yeah.
everything to ash, so you can just wipe it out. So the planet's nearly double that. I don't think anything's living there. I'm surprised that
Well, if they
those
did,
like safe hatches even open because they should be molten.
Yeah.
Like
They
have metal on them. Like those hatches are metal. They should have just fused shut if it's getting subjected to this extreme heating and cooling
every day. Yeah.
Yes. They shouldn't even be there. They should just be vaporized.
Also, why do you need to watch the surface? Apart from that individual instance in the film, why on earth would they ever need to survey the surface from like an actual vantage point, as opposed to a camera or something?
Well, cameras would get fried again if it gets that hot. Remember, we were watching that. There was that whole big thing on Nat Geo about the NASA trip to the sun, the one that's currently there, and a huge part of it was how they were going to monitor the temperature on the surface of the sun from behind the shields, because anything that was peeking out from behind the shields is obviously going to be vaporized.
It's going to get fried. Yeah,
it's the exact same thing, the same conundrum they have in Sunshine when they're lining up the two Icaruses and they're trying to. The shield gets damaged because he never alters the angle on it. So anything, like nothing on the surface of that planet should be there. That runway shouldn't be there anymore.
Yeah, even the runway shouldn't be there.
Nothing should work on that planet.
Well, if it's made of tar, then that stuff gets molten under sunlight.
You'd land on it and just like toffee, just boom. Like, have you ever seen a duck trying to where that duck we saw land at high speed on grass and it just hit the grass and stopped
instead of water?
Yeah, it just hit the grass and then just tumbled.
Yeah, they wouldn't have needed those party poppers at all.
No, it would have just hit it and just mushed into nothing. Also, angle of entry.
Make this a whole bunch worse.
Yes, absolutely.
How the hell does that planet have an atmosphere? What created the oxygen that they're breathing?
Yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It shouldn't have an atmosphere. There's no plant life. There's nothing that can.
Well, it could have an atmosphere, but it wouldn't be a breathable atmosphere.
No, it's probably sulfuric.
I'll go even further. Yeah. Why did they choose to land their spaceship during the day?
Yeah, just wait. Just circle back.
The planet has a night. Why did they land on that strip during the day?
Yeah, just circle back around.
Because they were trying to be cool,
Yeah.
Why is the landing strip so far from the fucking thing? Why is it 24.9 kilometers from the bloody prison itself?
And it's not like they went 29 kilometers underground. They just went 29 kilometers
sideways
across the surface.
Yeah, I was like, if you're 29 kilometers down, cool, but you're not because they popped the top out. It's clearly not that far away.
No, I think
that the distance between the prison and the hangar was so if there's a breakout, they can't easily get on the ship and fly away.
But there's no ship in that hangar when they arrive. They go to a different hangar. The guards do.
No, they're going back. The guards are going back with the plan of taking Tomb's ship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is the third of his ships that they've taken. Because he takes
the planet's that dangerous, and yet they have no ship to get off if there's a problem.
Yeah, they don't have their own ship. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
also, anything in that hangar during the day is going to get fried. Oh,
my favorite thing about all of crematoria is when they're arriving, and the ship's computer is like, plot good, angle of entry not good.
There's a lot of stuff
as they're burning up.
There's a lot of stuff cut out of that scene on the streaming services.
Yeah, it's a good 15 minutes in the difference.
The director's cut is about 15 minutes longer.
And that's you get a couple of extra bits on.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more stuff with the guards.
Well, yeah, I suppose here's what did you guys see Jack getting brought into the prison
when they're loading her out of the crate?
No, that wasn't on.
There's a brief flashback when the quasi-deads are searching through Riddick's mind, and you see adult Jack trying to struggle with a lock on a crate.
All right.
There's actually a full scene of that in the director's cut because she stabs one of the guards in the crotch with a knife.
Oh.
Yeah, you get a couple of extra scenes.
And they actually put her in a cage with the
with those dog things
in the same area they hold.
Well, not
those
with
dogs.
them, but you know where Toombs ends up later, where he's stuck in a cage between the two dogs. That's the cage that Kira gets brought in and put in, and it's early on in the movie. I think it's just before Riddick gets to Helion Prime. They cut to crematoria, and you see this person getting brought out of a cage.
There's also all
and it
his
ends up being Jack.
Flashbacks that he has while he's in cryo sleep after stealing Toombs' ship on his way to Helion Prime. That's all the remember Furia and the history of a dark people, and you'll remember when the time comes and she reaches out and touches him.
He gets these like visitations in like dreams, and when he's in cryo sleep like 2 or 3 times throughout the movie with this woman who kind of talks to him about Furia's past,
and
which I'm pretty sure
history of the Lord Commander and his vendetta against it, and about this prophecy.
Yeah.
Did we watch the same movie?
No, we didn't. It actually fills.
The director's cut has about an extra 15 minutes, and it actually fills in a lot of story plots.
There's a lot of extra Vaco and Lady Vaco.
Oh, the whole scene where she wants to take him down to the throne room and then kneel before him.
Yes.
While nobody's around, and that's just before they run out and they find out that he has the air elemental. That's why they're actually leaving to go down to the throne room. Because it makes no sense where they've cut between them in
they're having
chambers.
A conversation in the chambers. It's the one where Vaco's like, careful, that sounds
she's
like
getting
conspiracy
her
talk.
full Lady Macbeth on and about
Yes.
doing it for the faith. And then when he says, fine, I'll do it for the faith, there's actually an additional 5 minutes after that line of them having some rather violently passionate interlude.
I was going to explain to Ray that we have to watch that version because the version that we watched is, I watched it on Hulu. You said it was Netflix on yours?
Yeah.
So that's probably just the theater version.
Yeah.
So the Chronicles of Riddick unrated director's cut is on our Amazon Prime, but it doesn't look like it's available in Australia.
Yeah, it should be about 2 hours 14 in length. There's a good 15 minutes. A lot of the DVD, you can get the deleted scenes, I think, online.
You probably would,
but
find them online,
without them being inserted in the correct order, it doesn't make sense. Because when they arrive on Helion Prime, there's an additional shot of the Imam walking through the town, and you can hear whispers and people talking about the Necromongers and the fear, and you get this sense of foreboding that they know that this comet is coming and that there's something bad coming, and it does set up a lot more of the atmosphere that this is something that has been going on, and there's whispers of planets being destroyed. So this isn't a surprise that this comet means death. Like, they know that this is coming for them, and it's just a wait and see.
It's actually it's again to call back to your Aliens parallel. The director's cut of Aliens and the extra scenes that it has with
Ripley finding out about her daughter.
Ripley finding out about her daughter.
The railguns.
Newt's parents, and the railgun scene where all the aliens are attacking them and they're running down all the rounds. Weren't in the theatrical release, and I have always felt that they really add to it.
A friend of ours had never seen. He had seen the theater. He actually saw it released in cinemas.
Yeah,
and hadn't watched it again until he watched it with us, and we had the director's cut. And he was saying that that was the first time he had seen the Newt's parents at the very start.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the story with Ridley makes more sense why she's so protective of Newt. And then the railguns being run down to show how intelligent the aliens themselves are.
Yeah, and you understand because when you don't have that railgun scene, they go from being, okay, these aliens are a problem, to really panicked about the aliens.
Yeah.
And when you have that railgun scene in the middle, it makes sense. And similarly with Ripley, you understand why she's so concerned with taking care of Newt, because, well, she lost her own daughter the whole time she was drifting out in space. And the director's cut of this does a similar thing. There's a lot of small scenes that are just kind of dotted throughout it that do help inform the film, because I think I said already, it's a very vague film in a lot of aspects. and you get more character for
Vaco in
you
particular.
get more backstory for Riddick and the Furion, which also then kind of informs the Purifier's motivations. You get more, like you were saying, with the...
You get more backstory for what happened with Kira.
Yeah, you get a bit more Kira backstory, and you get a bit more just small things, like you were saying, when Imam is walking through the streets of Helion Prime, you can hear whispers about the coming dread, and it makes it a richer film overall, definitely, I think.
There's also a lot more with the new Merc crew and Tombs.
There is, yeah.
When there's an interaction between the Lady Merc, whose name I've forgotten, and she's in tons of stuff, and I keep forgetting
including
her name.
Stargate.
She's in Stargate. She's in Shadowhunters. She's amazing.
In fact, all of his crew, all of his Merc crew, bar one, were in Stargate.
And then the other one was in Supernatural.
Yeah.
No, Benny was in Stargate.
He was in Stargate as well, yeah.
And Prax, who's...
Are you talking about Christiana Cox, who plays Eve Logan?
Yes,
yeah.
I love her.
She was in Stargate. The pilot was in Stargate. The guy who gets flung into the ceiling of the cart thing was in an episode or two of Stargate.
He's also better known for being Benny in Supernatural.
Yeah, he was in Supernatural, and one of the guys was in The Expanse.
Well, that's Prax, who was also...
according to the wiki page, it says that the character Eve Logan, who's played by Christiana Cox, in a deleted scene, she tries to secretly rape Riddick while the rest of the crew are in stasis.
Yeah.
Not
so much. She just kind of sniffs at him.
She just kind of like smells him a bit. And
she's
then
like, ooh, fresh man meat.
He wakes up and kind of catches her and then just lets her go.
Yeah.
It doesn't really add anything. One I can see where they could have.
But there's also, it was really, really small when they shoot down, when he's getting chased after he's escaped from the Quasi-Deads, and he's booting it with his weird bow-legged run. That's really obvious in that scene.
Yeah.
And the Mercs catch him again. In the streaming version, they shoot him with a net. In the director's cut, she walks up and physically handcuffs him because he's standing there with his hands out, and he lets them lead him away.
Yeah, he's willingly cuffed.
Yeah, and you see him getting led off to the ship, and the ship taking off. Instead of it just cutting to them setting off the decoy and then leaving the ion trail, which is what the lenser sees.
Because again, when Riddick kind of makes out like, it was my plan all along. I wanted you to take me to crematoria. You're like, that's a bit convenient, isn't it?
Oh yeah, because he's found out from the Aman that they've taken Kira to a planet that is so hot you can't walk on the surface.
But when you see him getting voluntarily handcuffed, you go, okay, so he does want to be taken in.
Well, also it's his way off the planet and being chased by these guys.
Couldn't they figure out that he's letting himself being, I don't know. When I watch, every time I watch that scene,
Tombs is supposed to be a bit.
Tombs has been harboring a 5-year vendetta if you include Dark Fury in the timeline.
Yeah, he's been after him for a while. He doesn't care how he gets it, even if it does seem too good to be true.
I just love the fact that it's Billy Bedlam in space, because it is very much the exact same character he plays in Con Air, of this insanely chaotic, out to get 'em all person.
Tombs is good fun. Tombs is really good fun.
He wrote a Merc cookbook during production of this. He really got into being a bounty hunter.
He wrote a mercenary cookbook.
Yeah, he really, really got into it.
I should have taken the money.
You really should have, Tombs.
I just love that line when he's in the crates and you have those dogs on each side of him. And it's like, I should have taken the money. Riddick!
We're told.
That was epic.
That kind of reminded me of Khan from Wrath of Khan.
Speaking of references, did anybody else think that there was a couple of Mortal Kombat references at the end of the film?
He doesn't say your soul is mine. He says, "Give me your soul."
Yeah, when he's trying to take Riddick's soul in the final fight, he says, "Give me your soul," but he says it in a real Shang Tsung kind of way. And then, just as Vaco's about to swing and try and kill the Lord Commander, Lady Vaco goes, "Flawless."
That's a reference back though. She's talking about how she's like, oh, you let Riddick go in and do all the dirty work and then, swoop in at the end and get the killing blow. but the timing has to be flawless.
Yeah.
And then when the Lord Commander goes down the first time in the fight, and she's like, "Go get him!" And he's like, "No, wait."
Yeah.
He's like, "It will be perfect. I'll do it." And then he gets that big ass halberd thing, which looks so unwieldy. So unwieldy. Nobody wants to be cleaning that, in fairness. It's going to get like caught in shit when you're trying to take it back out, because it's not going to go through in one clean swoop.
But no, I don't know. There's just something about those two lines that I'm like, are they supposed to be Mortal Kombat references?
I get it. I did get that vibe as well.
It wasn't just me then.
No, I don't know. Have you played Mortal Kombat, Ray?
I don't.
You've at least seen the movie, haven't you?
Oh yeah. I've seen the movie and I know the song and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I did get that vibe, and I was wondering. I never mentioned it, but it's one of those like, isn't this? And I'm not too sure myself, so it's a good thing you mentioned that, because now I don't feel alone.
Good, neither do I.
I was more a fan of Double Dragon back in the day than Mortal Kombat.
That was a good game. That one and Street of Fire.
Streets of Fire.
What?
Yeah.
Street Fighter.
Oh, right, no, but Streets of Fire as
Streets
well.
of Rage.
Streets of Rage?
Oh, Street of Rage. Sorry.
No, there was a Flash game called Streets of Fire, and you were the little flame that ran around burning, setting the city on fire. You could get it on Newgrounds.
No, wasn't that something like Flammable Man?
No, you're
like
thinking
that?
of the Paperboy one where you used to get run over by cars.
Oh wow, Paperboy. That's
yeah.
Nice.
I think we're going down the rabbit hole now.
And Ski Free with the Yeti.
Rails? We don't need rails.
That's right. Potholes.
I think you found the new catchphrase, guys.
Awesome. So, if you want to define science fiction remnant, there you go.
I'll take responsibility for that one. Movie MacGuffins. There's always one that is just there to make sure that the plot can move forward, because otherwise it just would, hit a brick wall and it would go nowhere. The lenses. Is there anything they couldn't do?
I know.
I mean, look, there's some dudes over there behind a massive rock that has survived 700 degrees every day because, it's flimsy and you can see straight through it. What?
But they can see. Yeah. At first, it's just they can see through walls and they can see the Imam's family.
Drives up walls.
And then
they can see into space.
Yeah, they can see into space. That Eon
and
trail
then at the end, when Riddick's back on the ship, they can apparently tell individuals beneath the armor, because one of them looks at Riddick and cops that it's Riddick, and Riddick ends up killing him.
Because he has a higher body temperature than the Necromongers, because they're all in some half dead war boy kind of state.
Was that it?
Yeah, because when he's looking around,
color blindness messed with me.
You're colorblind. When he's looking around, everybody else, all the Necromongers are kind of like lizards, like they're kind of bluey. Yeah. Oh, is that why they're on are they on a crusade to the sun to go lie out on rocks? Because they have no inner body temperature.
They want to find one giant rock.
And
that's
what the Underverse is. Crematoria, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
The Underverse is one giant rock beneath a giant sun.
Held up by elephants.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Turtles all the way down.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
I just like.
Sorry, I'm looking up how malleable basalt is, because presumably that's what crematoria is made of. Because I was like, we have volcanic structures here. We have the Giant's Causeway.
But back to the lenses. You're damn right. Whatever about body, if it is body temperature is how they recognize Riddick, how did they pick out anything on crematoria? Because
that's true. That is true.
Those rocks would be hotter than the people behind them.
And apparently it would probably be basalt, looking at this, because it's what Venus is made of and most of Mars.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's a nice vacation spot.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray.
Oh, and it melts really fast too. Yeah, so all of crematoria would be like gooey.
Yeah.
Oh, it would just be a liquid.
It would just be like toffee.
Nice.
The guy that dies on the wall when Vin Diesel rescues Kira from the wall of flame that's coming up the cliff face. He's like there smiling. He sticks his head out and goes, "Oh, isn't that nice?" It's like, shit, man. What? Your life goal was to become a match, was it?
Oh, the smell of burning hair would be so bad.
Motivations, right? What's my motivation?
I go to crematoria. It smells like burning hair.
It smells like burning everything.
It smells like my sinuses are burning. Oh, Jesus.
I did like how everything was stark in that as well. It was like the crematoria was like, the name of the planet is crematoria. Well, what does it do? It does fire and hot things. And there's the UV system.
I love the fact
UV
that looks
6.
like the fingerprint worlds.
Yeah,
all
but
those
everything,
weird widgy bits.
Everything looked like it was under UV light.
Yeah.
And then they go to Helion Prime. And what's that about? Oh, it's a planet that's all about sunlight. So they're very literal in how they name their planets.
It's kind of like the Star Wars universe where the planets are all just one thing. Because that happens.
Oh, they're all just like one climate. Like
yeah.
an ice planet and a garden planet and a fire planet.
You know who wouldn't stand for that?
Yeah.
You know who wouldn't stand for that?
Who?
Artie Snarkblast. Snarkblast. I can't.
Slightly Breakfast.
Slightly Breakfast.
No, he'd have to put in some fjords at least.
Yeah. Megathea would never allow it.
you guys have done Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, they've done the movie, but they haven't done the 7 different other versions.
Yeah, only the movie.
The book, the radio show, the BBC
towels.
TV show.
Did you know that Douglas Adams, when changing format, he rewrote it every single time.
Yeah,
and changed it.
Because he wrote it on the bus, basically on the way in to do the recording of the radio show.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, because a very good friend of ours, when his daughter was 12 and she read it for the first time, and she asked us a question which nobody had ever asked or even thought of previously, which is, why does Ford Prefect called Ford Prefect by everybody not on Earth when that's his Earth name? And
the name.
Yeah, we had no answer for.
No, at first I think we tried to be like, oh, but the Babel fish.
Yeah, we were like, the Babel fish does it.
It's just translating it, and then no, this little 12-year-old girl went, no, but when they first picked them up, Zaphod says to Trillian in a room with nobody else, "Hey, that's my cousin Ford."
Yeah.
We were like,
damn
it.
and I say that the British don't care.
Yeah. That is the correct answer.
Yes. Not important. Move
on. I just want to bring one thing that we talked about briefly on our pre-show. What is everybody's thought? And you kind of heard my thought on this previously, but the cryogenic system that they use, this is basically in the entire IP. Every time they need to travel long distances, it actually makes sense that you would, in this universe, you need to freeze yourself to travel to another. I mean, there's plot holes there, but I'm going to avoid them for this example. But you freeze yourself, so then when you arrive, you're not older. And the current problem that we have right now is that you can't freeze blood. You can freeze them, but when you freeze it, basically have a dead person. I really liked how they went about this problem, where this machine, and I always found that really amazing from the very first time that I watched it, how this machine kind of siphons your blood out and fills you up with this liquid, which I like to assume that is to solve the issue that blood cannot be frozen, so that way you can be frozen and travel a long time. I'm sure everybody that's seen the movie has seen that scene, but I'm kind of curious, if anybody here has actually put as much thought to that scene as I did, because I find it fascinating. It's kind of like going back to the fact how we say that science fiction usually tries to solve an issue that we currently have, and that's why we have sometimes the science imitates art when it comes to science. Like one example that I am tired of mentioning, how the flip phones were the resolution from Star Trek's communicators from the 60s. So this is another example that I can say where science fiction sees an issue and tries in a way to resolve that scientific issue. Who anybody here give it as much thought as I did and find it as fascinating as I did?
Well, obviously, whoever wrote the screenplay had thought a little bit about it, and threw that in there. Just these things can often be throwaways just to try and make a little bit of sense without having any scientific basis at all. And then once you start thinking about it, you go, oh yeah, no, that's kind of important. We're going to have to do something like that. And then even down to the thing of, oh, hey, I've invented this antifreeze stuff that we can replace people's blood with, and then they'll survive long times in hypersleep. Great. What color should we make it? Well, it was blue in that movie I watched. Let's make it blue.
Always blue.
It's just like, yeah,
can we stop using blue liquid for things? It's getting very confusing.
It's always the blue liquid.
But the idea of some sort of stasis or stasis sleep has been around in science fiction for kind of as long as space travel, long distance space travel has been there. And people have taken different approaches to it. The Expanse has a really interesting approach.
Well, that's to do with the gravity, though.
That's to do with the G-forces, and it's almost like a liquid that they inject into their spine to help support the spinal column to stop you being crushed. But there's a limit on how much of that you can take.
That would, they went real hard sci-fi with that and tried to make it as kind of...
You've got the crash cages and stuff like that in Alien where they're all in the bunks. The Abyss gets very, very close with the liquid that fills the suits to protect them from the pressure.
It's a pressure thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but they swallow it as well to equalize pressure. And that it's that whole I live in liquid oxygen and I breathe my own pee.
Yes. Metalocalypse references in there as well.
So it's one of those things that's been around for a really long time and it's so fascinating, but it's also the kind of thing that we just don't have the medical technology there. We can barely keep ourselves alive in low orbit. When we come back down after a year, our bone density is shot to shit. Long distance space travel at the moment with the way we are biologically, I don't think is viable. Even again, to go back to the Expanse, just because I find they've looked at kind of the future of people living long term in space, where the belters are all very long and thin and have extremely brittle, fragile bones. But because they live in 0 to relatively low Gs, it's not an issue until they're brought to Earth.
And then it causes problems.
And then and the way the human body would mutate to long term space travel effects. So if we were doing something like freezing ourselves and then going to somewhere else and thawing out under different conditions, our bodies may not survive it.
Yeah. And, you guys are talking pretty much about the plot hole. And Ray has actually, for all of you who are not watching the video, he actually put another one of those. And I'll let you explain. But basically, this is the plot hole that I wasn't talking about.
Yeah, when you spend 3,000 years in hypersleep traveling to a distant star, only to wake up at the destination and be greeted by a full human civilization because they invented a faster spaceship 50 years after you left.
Yeah, that would be the hope and dreams. But when did Voyager leave the solar system?
Voyager, it was launched or it left. Launched in the 70s and only left the solar system a couple of years ago.
And we haven't launched anything since then to try and go as far as it. Mind you, we probably couldn't because we can't have nuclear proliferation in space.
No.
But this is an issue that you see, which I also thought about when I was watching the movie. When you see Riddick injecting that thing and he goes into hyper sleep, don't you think that time freezes for him, but not everybody else?
No, time and it has a countdown on the screen that it's 28 days. as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always, the impression I got from it,
Almost like a sedative.
It's
the
not,
way
it's like hibernation rather than a strict hypersleep of like the meme there where you're going for 3,000 years.
Of Pitch Black when he's talking about cryosleep and that
he says it here
as well. No, it's not in the streamed version. It's in the longer cut version where it's just before. That's how he's aware of her sniffing him.
Yeah, he has the line about it.
The primitive
shuts down all but
the animal side
parts of your brain, and then he smells her and then grabs her legs.
So yeah, I always took it that it wasn't.
It was more like tortoises and stuff like that. That it's a long sleep where your heartbeat slows down, all of your bodily functions slow down to just above functioning.
So I always got the impression that it's
because
not long.
Like you couldn't necessarily stop. Well, it's to not be gross, like there's bodily functions that need to be performed.
So you're basically hearing you say it's still a solution to maybe having a smaller ship because you don't need in that case to carry that much oxygen since once he's in that
everything slows down the same way. I happen to have a pet tortoise, which is why I kind of know a bit about this. It's weird. My mum bought one in 1982 in Plymouth, I think, for like £5, and it's still around. She's called Aloysius and she's awesome. But when she hibernates, because we just keep her in a box of hay in the shed in the winter, she's stone cold. And if you didn't know, you would think she was completely dead because I think she only breathes once every 5 minutes. She'll take a breath and it's very, very shallow. And her heartbeat slows all the way, like she is stone cold to the touch. And as the weather heats up, she'll start to kind of move around a little bit more, but it still will take her up to about 2 weeks to get powered back up fully. And that's only when she's hibernating for 5 months of the year. And that's a creature that has evolved to do that. So it'd be interesting to see what it would be like for a human who's not evolved to come out of a stasis, to see how long it would take them to kind of gear back up again and get going and eating and get the digestive system working. Because it takes her she'll be out of hibernation for a month before she starts eating properly. By the time all of her systems get up and running fully. And then she eats for 6 months of the year and then she goes back to sleep. It's a brilliant life. I wish I had it.
But that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
What would be the effects on the human body of something like that happening?
And I think that would be more likely.
We are a product of our environment. You don't realize it because you don't travel into different environments, but the amount of gravity you're exposed to and the amount of pressure your body is exposed to is very telling on your physicality. And it's the concept of the water that we swim in. You don't notice it because it's always been there. It's always been the same. But if it was to change, you would suddenly notice it. Like try getting thrown out of a spaceship without a spacesuit. You would notice very quickly that, this environment is different and I'm kind of screwed.
Again, the Expanse actually has a beautiful example of gravity changes where they bring one of the Belters who's from 0 or low G atmospheres and they bring them to Earth and they basically just hang them up on hooks on the wall. And because Earth's gravity is stronger than anything they've ever been used to, it slowly crushes his skeleton.
Yeah, it's considered a form of torture because they haven't given them.
They have to keep them in tanks of water to keep them buoyant, to stop them succumbing to the gravity. It's really, really interesting.
I think they can give them pressure drugs as well.
But you have to
give those to the Martians.
They have to get acclimate them over time to that.
That it has been considered by NASA and various other space agencies that it's going to be really hard to have a long-term moon base because if there were children there, they would develop completely differently from on Earth. They would be very tall and gangly and have very, very low bone density and low muscle strength because they're not being affected by gravity all the time. And there's huge problems on the International Space Station. People have to exercise 4 and 5 times or 5 hours a day
Yeah.
in these special exercise suits that simulate pressures and gravity on their bodies to try and keep them from losing muscle mass, from losing bone density, from having all sorts of spinal issues and all these sorts of things that you have. And they're not even that far away from Earth.
No.
Yeah.
They're just in low Earth orbit.
The coral bone transplants actually that they've been doing to try and reintroduce bone density is really fascinating, because coral will helps bone regrow. Because there was, who were the twins, the astronaut twins? They snuck the gorilla suit onto the ISS.
I can't remember the name, but yeah, they did tests with the one twin was an astronaut and
no, they're both astronauts.
Sorry, yeah, but they were like, when are we going to get a chance to do this again? Right, you go up to space for 6 months, you stay on Earth for 6 months,
and
when
you're
you
our
come back,
control.
we're doing a battery of tests.
And it is like they take some 4 or 5 months of rehab just to be able to kind of walk around and function normally. Like
So,
our
yeah,
bodies aren't designed for it at all.
It's not just a matter of how do we stop the
cells exploding,
the aging process, or the cells
freezing.
exploding, or any of this stuff. It's not just how do we freeze the body. It's then how do we get the body back to normal after all the freezing? How do we do all the other stuff?
I always found
that's
that
easy.
very
Be a
fascinating.
necromonger.
I'm sorry?
Be a necromonger. They're already half dead. It doesn't seem to make a
it
difference.
seems to be easier for him.
Well, they didn't seem to go.
Plus, they don't seem to have to use hypersleep. They just seem to zoom around the place.
Yeah, but they also refer to normal people as breeders, which makes me think that they are actually half dead, as in vampiric, and cannot like reproduce in that manner because your body can't change. If they don't seem to need to use hypersleep, and
well, also if they worship or have kind of a worship of death, the idea of creating life through birth is probably not one they like. So that's probably why they only have converts.
Yeah.
Because the Lord Commander says that every necromonger you see before you today was once a convert. There's no born necromongers. But yeah, I suppose in a religion that prizes death isn't going to put a heavy emphasis on creating life, is it?
No. But they do refer to normal people, to the non-converts, as breeders.
Breeders, yeah.
I have a hot take for you on this topic. Is this a zombie apocalypse movie?
Interesting.
No, because they don't bite.
No, they're a horde.
Well, if you think about it, if they're half dead, but they're just intelligent zombies, basically.
Yeah.
They don't bite you, but they convert you.
Yeah.
Do you ever see them eat you?
They're kind of like the Borg as well. Just
yes,
and
Borg.
keep on rolling, or the War Boys in the Mad Max universe.
Yeah.
Zombie Borg.
Zombie Borg.
Zomborgs.
Borgs are zombie, aren't they?
Well, they're biomech.
Yeah.
And 7 of 9 is obviously the hottest robot that ever existed.
I know a few guys who would have liked to have implanted her. I can tell you that.
Oh, Jerry Ryan.
Jerry Ryan,
and her husband Jerry Ryan.
Well, ex-husband now, I think. But
did you not know her husband was called Jerry Ryan?
No, I didn't.
He is the reason that Obama became president. If you go all the way back, because he was embroiled in some sort of. He was a senator.
He was a senator, and he cheated on
Jerry Ryan.
And the scandal that erupted from him cheating on his wife, he stepped down from his seat, and the vacant seat was then filled by Barack Obama. That was when he first became senator or governor, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So there you go.
You wouldn't think that Jerry Ryan could cheat on Jerry Ryan, but apparently.
Yep.
What's wrong with him?
Why would you?
Well, if you've seen Dracula 2001, you might.
I have seen that film.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't change my opinion.
No. Well, she's one of the sirens or the muses or whatever you want to call his brides.
Brides of Dracula, will go with. But speaking of brides, actually, Lady MacVaco.
Lady MacVaco, who's getting all of her like conniving on.
I
love her. I just love the fact that she's always in gold, that she stands out amongst everything else, and she seems to have some sort of place of power that she's allowed to go off and interrogate.
But why?
She's allowed to take the elemental.
That's it. Like, why does she seem to have such freedom compared to anybody
she could
else.
probably suck chrome off a doorknob.
Well, she was just taking the elemental for a walk, you know. You got to take
Yeah,
a walk every
just
now
a
and
walk off the pier. She's allowed to take Riddick. Like,
Her
she
beauty
over-
regimen freaks me out every time.
The casual.
The
burning off the eyelashes.
Wow.
Look up how traditional eyeliner is made.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because it's casual. It's a charcoal that you burn and then you scrape it off and you rub it on. It's the really traditional way. So it's kind of a nod to that.
Just cut out the middleman.
With the added burning sensation. But if you use some lip plumpers, lip glosses that you can get, burning sensation is kind of normal with some beauty products. Kitty is pain.
Well, if you were in the same room as her while she was doing that, you would get the smell of burning hair.
Yeah, burning eyelashes.
No, thank you.
Oh no, try sitting there with your eyelids taped for like 6 hours, getting extensions put on them.
No.
Because that fucking is shit.
No,
and then a month later having to like try and peel them off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Putting what is effectively soldering iron right next to your eyeball is probably not a really good idea.
Plus, you can get now tattooed eyeliner and like cosmetic tattooing. So they're tattooing like they will go like right along the lash line.
You can get your lips tattooed red.
Yeah, it's cosmetic tattooing. You can get our eyebrows and everything.
You can get your eyeballs tattooed.
Yeah, you go blind for about 3 weeks, but
why you would is beyond me. Unless you're trying to be Riddick, but
yeah. No, it's only the iris. It's not the irises, it's the whites. If you want to change the irises, you have to get LASIK, but that only works if you've got dark eyes. Yeah, it turns into blue.
You've looked into this, I see.
No, I'm very bad. I'm very badly long-sighted, and if I got LASIK, because my eyes are quite dark brown, they take off some of the curve off the iris, I believe. And you can end up with blue eyes afterwards.
No.
Because all the melanin underneath is blue.
All right. I didn't know that either.
Wow.
It was the weird things you learn on Wikipedia.
I was today years old when I found out.
So there's a way to get blue eyes then?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it unless like you actually need LASIK, because otherwise that's just really stupid to fuck with your vision.
Do you get the silver eyes though? Because I don't have any menthol kills.
You don't have any menthol kills? I don't know. Somebody with some mercury.
Do we ever find out how he actually got them, or is it just like in the third film?
No, it's just the story that he tells in the first one.
Yeah, I think that it might have been a mutation, like part of his Furian heritage. I mean, you sort of say,
none of the other Furians have it though.
That's
none of the other Furians, like when you see her in the flashback, she doesn't have it. And
but not all humans from Earth look the same either. You're generalizing way too much.
True, I suppose. Yeah. Not so it doesn't have to be
it could be just a mutation.
Of Furians.
Yeah. Although it seems to be that all the planets seem to have the races do seem to have like that one defining trait. Like they said, all the Furians are violent.
Well, that's the other thing. Are they supposed to be
or not violent? But I think Furia is basically Sparta and Helios is Thebes.
No, but is the universe supposed to be? Is it Star Wars? Is it a long time ago?
In a galaxy far
away, or is it supposed to be our future?
It's set in 2573 or something like that.
So they are all supposed to be humans that have spread out across the galaxy. But then
they expanse.
When they talk about like moving around through space, they seem to refer to it as just the system.
Or different systems,
yeah, it's like different systems. Do they mean solar systems, or are they talking star systems?
Are they talking galaxies?
When Riddick is talking about which prison they're going to take him to, he says there's only 3 supermax prisons, but 2 of them are out of range for a shitty undercutter like this. So there's only one. Sorry, so there's 3 in this system, and 2 are out of range.
And he's in when they find him originally, he's in the UV system on like UV6. But when they're also talking about the Helios system, they only show the planets in the immediate solar system, for lack of a better descriptive word.
When he gets taken by Toombs off Helios Prime, that's when he says there's 3 supermax prisons in this system, in the solar system,
or in the
star system,
in the greater area of it.
I find that I find that interesting because it seems like you have moons that are populated as well as the actual planets. So in that context, maybe there's a lot more within a system in that universe than it is, say for example, in a normal sci-fi where you just have planets in an entire universe. I was thinking about that too.
Also, that's a rough ass system if it's got 3 supermax planets.
Yeah, in one solar system.
Yeah, there's planets up on bricks because they've had their rings stolen.
And Riddick has the T-shirt from Breaking Out of all of them.
I like that. Oh yeah, they keep a room open for me.
That's it. Pick up your stuff. We're moving to another system.
Yeah.
Well, I find this a lot in a lot of sci-fi movies that they really don't have the nomenclature down for the sort of scale that they're talking about. Like right at the end, Dame Judi Dench says something about and what about the future of the universe? And I'm like, aren't you reaching a little bit? It's a long way away. A future of the galaxy, future of the sector. Future
like
of the human diaspora. You could
like
choose much better words.
Song.
Yeah, the language choice is a bit vague.
That irks me as much as that Red Hot Chili Peppers song that says, universally speaking, I've been waiting a long, long time. No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
Universally speaking, no.
How many billion years?
Yeah, have you been waiting a few billion?
I'll work it out and get back to you.
Yeah.
But that kind of vagueness, sometimes I think it can work, but in this, I'm like, well, I think it like what you were talking about, Rob, with the cryo sleep. It seems like it's supposed to be for a short period of time, but if you're going from one solar system to another solar system, 28 days probably isn't a long enough time to jump around unless you're in a really, really incredibly fast ship. And we've been told that that's kind of a crappy ship.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that was a particularly, like, in terms of distance in space, I didn't think it was like a massive distance.
Well,
you're not talking like
they
light
never
years
give
or anything
you
between
any
them.
sort of like scale of
No, they never do.
how fast you're going. Where like in other things that are kind of predominantly ship based, you get like a kind of an approximation, at least, it's close to the speed of light or whatever. This, you get nothing. So it could have just been like puttering along like a little old lady on a Sunday in the fucking outside lane with her left fucking indicator on.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I believe I agree with that. There's no scale. There's not enough information. For all we know, they're using warping engines. But even at that, there's not enough information for me to even say that was in fact what is being used.
I mean, you get
Necromongers seem to use a different engine drive technology to the Tombs' ship, which seems to use a different one to Helion's one. Yeah, so they're all using different methods of propulsion. So is it the same amount of time for everybody? Because the fucking Necromongers get to Crematoria quicker around the same time, just before like Riddick leaves, essentially.
Yeah,
they've been there for like 24 hours, and it's they took them like 4 or 5 days to get there. And they went.
I don't know how long it took to get there. You said like there was a counter on the clock that was like 28 or 29.
No, that's when he leaves UV6 to go to Helios. He's looking at the counter, and then you get that weird Furiosa Furion lady flashback that's not in the streaming services version of it. That's all like, look at this planet and it's being destroyed. But yeah, he faffs about with what's her face and the elemental. And then Vaco does, and then goes after Riddick.
And they have a conversation on the ship about how
they've been on the ship
deep
for
space
a while.
runs test your faith.
Yeah, so like,
but Riddick and the guys seem to get there quick.
Yeah, they don't seem to get there anywhere near as quick. So it seems to be different propulsion methods seem to get them
Meanwhile,
there.
all the Necromongers on Helion Prime are at the water park because they're just filling in time.
Yeah,
they're just chilling. we'll just do nothing until Vaco gets back.
Yeah.
Never mind that plan we had to go and take down the rest of the solar system that we were talking about before I sent Vaco on this mission. We'll just chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin. The Lord Commander's a little bit like loose with the L plans there.
Yeah.
His I seem to keep saying it, but yeah, his plans are a bit vague too.
Yeah.
So basically we can say things like even Star Wars and Star Trek have travel logic, yes, and this movie have travel logic, no.
I think that's a fair statement. I agree.
This has magic in it, so.
But I mean, I think you guys, I can't remember what episode it was. You had the conversation about science fiction versus science fantasy and the different aspects. This, I would say, is it's a fantasy film in space. You know, there's no hard sci-fi in this. Doesn't make it bad by any means.
It's very much more in what you were saying. They look like Warhammer 4000.
Oh yeah, there's a real Warhammer 40k vibe to how the Necromonger like towers are styled. I felt
the Warhammer shop used to scare me, so I never went into it. So I have no idea. The neckbeards terrify me.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Also, I got to say that.
Shaded up.
I got to say that when Doc Joe was lambasting this movie horribly about how he didn't like it, I said, "But you listen to all those Warhammer 40k books." He goes, "Oh shit, you got me on that one." This movie makes about as much sense as they do. So
it's just missing the backs and the drive me closer. I want to hit them with my sword aspect of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, no sword, but there's two little knives that Riddick likes to wave around.
I like
those
their
weird axe things.
I like their air gun punting things. The air shock instead of like it being a beanbag gun.
Yeah, their guns.
They're like those air bazooka things.
Blast people away, like they're not
non-lethal. Yay! Also non-cracked ribs.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure they are lethal because they said one or two guys like flying up a few stories high, but. Interesting choice of gun.
It's
the only apart from the firefight that the mercs have.
Yeah.
All the Necromongers carry those weird force guns, for lack of a better word.
And then axes.
Yeah.
Choice.
Yeah, it is a choice. They're also very poorly trained.
well, when that many of them die and they have to recruit and train them that quickly.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, they're basically because they're killing off all of the good fighters on the planets that they're invading.
They're canaries.
They're basically the trash mobs.
Yeah.
They're basically recruiting trash mobs, probably because the really good fighters wouldn't break and become Necromongers in the first place. But yeah, their army is basically trash mobs.
I always feel like Furia in this is very much what they wanted to make Sayyadina in Stargate Atlantis.
That would be. I was going to say that'd be the other way around, but no, it wouldn't.
No.
Well, I think that's kind of what they were going. Yeah, they wanted to make Furia out to be this race of like proud warrior people, but we never really, especially in the theatrical version, we never really know why. We're just told, oh, there was this planet, and they were pretty cool fighters, and then they all died because the Lord Commander wanted them to die. As
opposed to there being a prophecy that one would kill him. So he went on a bit of a King Harold rampage and, killed all everybody.
I hadn't even realized that. As Mary Sue as this character is, there's even a fucking Jesus metaphor in there as well.
Oh, have you not gotten the overt Christian fucking overtones? They're literally on a crusade.
Oh yeah, no, but through
lands that aren't theirs to pillage treasures that don't belong to them.
Obviously, the Necromongers are crusading Christians.
Yeah,
but for Riddick,
I can tell that like if. In history, wasn't they were after the Muslims and the Holy War?
Yeah, they decided that Muslims, even though it's the same God, were totally enough, and how dare they?
They just weren't happy that they were living in the Holy Land.
Yeah, it's their Holy Land. How dare they? And then there was also
my flavor of ice cream is the real ice cream, and yours is a fake.
Basically.
Yeah.
My vanilla flavor of ice cream is
even though
slightly different to your vanilla ice cream.
At the very core of it, same God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this movie, we have them going to the new Mecca.
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming with it. It's, all these overtones are very, very obvious.
So does that make the Lord Marshal Zombie Space Jesus?
Zombie Space Pope.
Oh, okay.
I think he's Zombie Space Pope.
No, that'd be the.
I was
that'd be
close.
No, I'd say he'd be Zombie Space Jesus, and the Purifier would be Zombie Space Pope.
Yeah.
Because the Purifier
No, zombies. No, the Purifier is Zombie Space Metatron.
I think we might be going a bit too far into
yeah,
it.
But he is the Herald, though, is the Metatron. He is the transformative. Does he kind
But
of
actually,
go through
hang
the
on
hero
now. While we're on the religious subject, is it not a bit confusing to have a holy man who's gone to a place called New Mecca is imam, as opposed to religious title?
Could be both. Mary is both.
Because for ages I thought he was an imam, as in a leader of the Islamic faith.
But I think it's his name.
But his name is imam. And I'm like, so is he supposed to be Muslim as well, or is he?
People name their kids stupid shit. Why are you asking this?
I don't know. It's a weird choice, especially when you're using the term Mecca like that. And in the first film, that's where he's going. He's a holy man on a pilgrimage to New Mecca, and he uses the phrase pilgrimage. I'm pretty sure in Pitch Black, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he's going on a pilgrimage to a place called New Mecca. Very Muslim-sounding thing, and he's called Imam. I just think it's weird.
Yeah, but you also get a lot of Muslim people called Muhammad. I know it's spelled differently, but yeah.
How many Catholic people do you know called priest?
None, but
there
given
you
the
go.
connotations of the priest.
There you go. How many Jewish people do you know called rabbi?
Well, rabbi is a title that is conferred to you, but how many Catholics are called Mary? And Mary is a religious term.
No, that's both though.
Yeah,
you're intentionally trying to fudge my argument now.
No, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do that.
I'm loving this.
Hey, look, it's in the title.
I think I peaked at Zombie Space Jesus. I'm just going to shut up now.
see, Rob knows you can't get us started on religious topics, or we just the rails are in the distance on the other hemisphere of the planet right now, even if they did exist to begin with.
So basically, you've strapped a few JATO units to yourself and you're on your way into orbit.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. I picked 2 of those Necromonger guns and I pointed them at the ground and I fired them and it rocketed me upwards.
I wonder if you kept doing that, could you like double tapping jump?
Or if you were sitting in a chair, like with a fire extinguisher, you're sitting
would you
in a
just go in
chair.
circles, or would you actually go across the room?
Is that a reference to Mario Brothers?
Yeah, double tapping. Got to jump.
Double jump.
Also, in the movie when they have the double jump boots, because he could do that.
There's a future episode for you. That surely counts as sci-fi. The Super Mario Bros.
I don't care. They turn a human into a monkey, and it makes Dennis Hopper so happy.
There you go, Ray. That's the name of our next episode.
Oh my god!
You don't like that movie?
I don't remember the details. I'll have to watch it again. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
But Luigi. His name is Luigi.
Bringing it right back. We've gone full circle. We have Luigi, and at the start we talked about Dick Riddick.
There you go.
Yes.
Dickory Dick.
Dickory Dick, yes.
Dickory Dick.
Dickory Dick.
Biggest badass of the universe.
Dickory Dick.
Yeah, his buddy Bickus gets around too.
He has a wife, you know.
Oh.
I don't want to know what her name is.
Incontinentia.
Incontinentia
buttocks.
You know that picture of Ripley with her head turned to the side, terrified of the alien? One of my favorite memes is Michael Palin going, "She has a wife, you know," right up in Ridley's face.
And Ridley,
yeah.
Oh, when it opens its mouth when it's opened its mouth wide and there's more teeth inside. That's amore.
Oh God. You gotta sing it.
When it opens its mouth, it's got a pharyngeal jaw.
She has that whole meme poem memorized. Yeah. Don't get her started.
When it opens its maw and it's a pharyngeal jaw. That's amore.
When it opens its mouth and there's more teeth inside, that's amore.
Yeah, there you go. And that's going to be our new music for Science Fiction Man.
Sounds fishy to me.
Oh my god, this is fun. This is fun.
So, yep. If you've seen the Science Fiction Remnant rails, could you please post them to Florida so that we can get back on them? Because I think we're suffering from a lack of rails here. Right?
We warned you. We warned you before we came on.
I was told this would be appropriate.
It's science fiction. Everything's appropriate.
Normally when we record, our records are kind of the culmination of 7 or 8 hours of conversation like this, where we try and whittle out the important points we want to talk about so that this doesn't happen.
Yeah, and then we sit down to record after we've had all these talks.
To try and make it less chaotic.
Well, that's why I love listening to you guys so much.
It's our raw footage.
We love chaos.
Well, yeah, one of our
some of them really do.
One of our hosts is Captain Chaos, quite literally. So.
If he doesn't sign back in like 2 minutes before the end, I'll be very disappointed.
I just want to know where he is, because he literally looked like he was on the side of a fucking highway.
He was. He was waiting for another bus.
He was in a train station.
He's going to get dragged off by a gator or something. Or a rabid fucking... Yeah, or fucking somebody on bath salts or something.
Yeah, he was at a train station. So he's still on his way home. Poor guy. Yeah, they're recording. We did the appearance on the Geek Cave podcast, and is having such a hard time. We decided, okay, we're gonna have him through a phone call. I linked my phone to the device, and then his phone dropped. And so we did the entire episode without him.
Does he have like a metal plate in his head or something?
He is
like throwing them off like does he need to be isolated from his own technological equipment?
I think if we get one of those little green wires and we attach it to his ankle into the ground, we might be able to
he needs to be earthed. Brain encryption, metal plate, Scudgy River jump.
Yeah, I talked to him after the fact, and he was so upset because he missed that episode. And
did he just keep talking? Did he not realize his phone was gone?
Well, I think he did real fast because that thing just, but he wanted to be on the episode, and he was trying. Have you ever had those days when things just doesn't work for you? You try this and you try that. Well, that's him. That's what we call it
every day.
Oh no.
So yeah, hopefully it's going to be better in future episodes. I tell myself that. Anyway.
Well, I mean, if he's known for it now.
Yeah.
NASA can get signals from Voyager spacecraft, which is 1.4 billion miles away, and yet he can't even get a phone call to work in Florida.
And it's not like there's maintenance in the way.
He dropped. His call just plain dropped. And it's like, great. What else is going to go wrong?
Maybe he's a wholly half dead and he doesn't quite exist in this reality.
Do automatic doors open for him?
No.
I'm going to have to
Or does he have to go to the manual pull door?
Slide it open.
Hey, ma'am, do you mind? I need to get in.
Yeah, it doesn't recognize me.
Oh God. Yeah, I feel bad for him. And it was such a shame too, because he's so much fun.
Yeah, when you can actually understand what he's saying, because a lot of the time when he's on, the signal breaks up and you can't quite tell what he's saying anyway. So.
Oh no.
Yeah,
maybe he's trying to use a Nokia from the 90s, and that's the problem.
No. If you watch any of the live videos that we have posted where he's on, you can actually tell what we're talking about, because you will see him and then all of a sudden his square drops and then comes back on and then it drops. And that's the whole stream.
We have this discussion in the pre-stream. Robert and I goes, "Do you think Giancarlo will get a whole sentence out tonight?" Nah, I don't think it'll happen. Nah. I'm not taking that bet. I don't want to lose my money. and he's up there. He's like so pumped. He's like, and this and that. Yeah. He's gone.
The poor fella's not even here to defend himself.
Yeah, I feel bad for him because he
That's
really
okay. He
wants
wouldn't be able to get a word out anyway.
You know, it's a big problem when he should move to Australia to have better internet. That's all I can say.
Oh God, yeah.
I was about to say it's not like because we get it here with the common excuse that that when your internet's not working in this country,
It's just the bad weather.
It's the bad weather. It's the trees. You need to go somewhere where there's no trees. It's fucking Ireland. Fucking trees everywhere. No, literally, that's why our internet company will say to us. But there's no tree. Well, there is trees there, but there's no mountains because that's like parts of Ireland you get shit reception because of the mountains.
Florida very flat.
Florida's the flattest place in the US.
All right.
I think the highest elevation is like 300 foot. I might actually even be exaggerating that.
Yeah, I think we need to get Starlink. Robert, we need to get Starlink.
If you dig, yeah, we should. If you dig enough down on the ground, you'll hit sand.
Yeah, basically, Florida's just hanging on its way. It's the Tortuga of the US.
All right.
It's waiting on a flood of fire and an earthquake, and then it's gone.
It'll sink.
Well, in Australia, we call that Tuesday.
Nice.
I am not kidding. We have had like 4 floods in the last 12 months. It's been bonkers.
Yeah, it had because the whole country was on fire there. Like
that was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
there's this song about droughts and flooding rains, and they're not kidding.
Your country could have used the Riddick way of naming planets. In fairness,
what hot and death?
Yeah, we would have known a lot better if Australia was called Crematoria.
Yeah,
but like I'm not going there. It's hot.
Well, the Romans called us Hibernica, and then they just went, "It's too fucking cold there. Let's not go there." So that's why we have no Roman civilization in this country. They left us alone. So yeah, they should have called you guys something better.
I like literal place names. I have to say, I like literal place names.
Except
UV planet.
Except for the 2 most confusing ones, Greenland and Iceland.
Well, they're not literal. They're backwards.
Yeah,
don't like that one.
They slipped up there.
Florida is a hot and humid state. There you go.
Yeah, it's a swamp. It's a swamp. It's a swamp that people decided that was a good place to live.
We're being very abusive about other people's homes today.
Disneyland is swamp.
Florida's flat, horrible, and it's full of people on bath salts, and Australia's full of things that want to kill you.
But the only reason we know that is because they have that wonderful law that allows them to name and shame people in the newspapers, which is why we have the Florida Man headlines.
Oh, is that why you get so many Florida Man headlines?
Yeah, they actually have a law that allows you know, right here, like you can't name people for like stupid shit.
Well, not until after they've been
whereas in Florida you can actually like publish it straight away, which is why you get those amazing headlines like Florida Man like breaks into off license with crocodile.
Right.
But you know what beats the Florida man?
What?
Florida woman.
Oh God, yeah. Oh Jesus. Yeah,
no,
I've seen those titles on the news too.
Oh.
Oh yeah. It's all over the place.
Have you noticed that I haven't actually argued against the whole things that want to kill you vibe?
That's because you live there at the Magpies.
Because you can't.
You can't. I've seen footage of swooping season. Why?
Like you said about Riddick earlier, it's just about survival in Australia.
That's right.
Like when people put up videos of them like cycling, screaming like lunatics, wearing buckets on their heads with like branches shoved into it, you just go, "Oh, it's swooping season."
Oh yeah, like we have magpies here,
but like fuck me, they don't.
They're just
do
normal
that.
birds. They just fly around and sit in trees.
Yeah, they don't like attack you like red-eyed demons.
I have been blooded by a magpie when I was a kid riding a bicycle. They love hitting people on bicycles.
Like the worst thing that happens here is maybe a bee flies into you while you're cycling, and that
but it's not it's not all magpies. It's
only
only certain magpies.
the
Like
bastards.
certain families of magpies. Yeah, the bastards. We have the same thing with the cockatoos. You've got like we have like 15 cockatoos show up on our balcony, and 2 or 3 of them will be eating all the pigs off the clothesline and pulling up pieces of wood off the balcony rail. The rest of them are really pleasant and friendly, and you've got these 3 bastards who ruin it for everybody. That's the soccer hooligans of the bird world.
Well, that's it as well. You have like parrots and animals that like bird species that do have greater intelligence than the average.
Oh, yeah. And they live a long time too. Like wild cockatoos live 60, 70 years.
Yeah, and they remember shit.
And they do. Yeah, they do.
They do remember
you. They know who you are, and they know where you live. And
they will teach their children.
kind of like Batman, but a bird.
Yeah.
I think we've wandered off again.
Yeah.
That keeps happening.
No rails. We love it.
Well, do we want like final comments about? There was a movie, wasn't there?
There was a movie in there somewhere that is well worth to watch.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
Although why it's called, it's Chronicle of Riddick, but it's one movie.
Yeah.
If you like, I can start for a change.
Yeah,
and we can move around for final thoughts. I think this movie, and you probably know what I'm going to say. This movie was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this movie. Obvious because I've seen this movie multiple times in the theaters. It's just plain fun. It's an expansion to the story. So I remember when I saw the first one and I wanted more. I was so excited for this, and not only that, but this movie led to. I'm a sucker for more content, right? Especially on things that I love. And this movie led to like Dark Fury and the actual game that came out. What was the name of it? I forgot the name of it already.
Butcher Bay.
So I'm sorry?
Butcher Bay, wasn't it?
Yeah, Butcher Bay. So yeah, this movie, I agree with all the points, and please don't think that just because I think that this movie is slightly different, obviously, from the first one. I still love this movie, and I would strongly recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely, and we did our usual thing of making fun of it throughout most of the record, but like. If we didn't love the movie and if we didn't enjoy the movie, we wouldn't come on and podcast about it.
I wouldn't talk about it if I didn't like it. Now there is stuff I don't like that I can talk about for a really long time, but there's almost like a weird perverse enjoyment in that. I like I like
that's
to
different.
I like to hate watch things. Whereas I actually genuinely do at the same. I really enjoy this film. I was a fan of Pitch Black, and I like to see a universe expansion. I always like to know what's there's more going on there because you got little hints of it. And going into it, I wasn't thrown by all the kind of all these cultures and all of these liturgies and everything being thrown at you, because I knew it was going to be more of a greater universe. But if you're not big into like fantasy, I don't think this would kind of do it for you.
Yeah, I think if what you loved about Pitch Black was
the violence,
the insular storyline and that kind of what you get out of it, and the same that you get out of Alien,
skip straight over to Riddick.
Yeah, skip to Riddick because Riddick goes back to that. But if you're more like Rob and you just want more of that IP, and more of Riddick in general, yeah, it's a good film. It's even if you haven't seen Pitch Black. You don't like. There's nothing in this that you'd be going, huh? What happened? Because he explains. Well, anything that's relevant gets explained.
Yeah, there's monsters on the planet.
There was monsters. I saved a few people, took them off, and then now we're back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't get that comparison between when the ships are taking off from that pylon ship and the
True.
No, but that is I think the only scene, the only shot in it that does kind of call back.
There'd be a few things in this that you probably wouldn't appreciate as well, but there's nothing that would bar you from watching this film if you haven't seen Pitch Black. I don't think.
No, because the only other thing that they really go into is she kills a lot of people and she gets herself thrown in the prison.
But again, they explain
But
that.
she's like, oh, but there was no doctor here to shine my eyes. Like, was everything you told me back on that planet a lie? So you get the backstory of like, oh, okay, they have history and he's abandoned her. And Iman is
Iman explains all that as well.
You were like a big brother to her and she went off looking for you. And she gives him then her own backstory. So there's not much missing there.
No.
Exposition-wise.
But I mean, you may as well watch all three.
Yeah, no, Pitch Black is a brilliant film.
Just go and watch all three because they're all fun.
Yeah. I do love in Pitch Black the guy, the kind of fine goods dealer in his turban and his
I vaguely remember
with his alcohol. His alcohol.
He's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's sitting up with the shisha pipe and he's got his like parasol set up and
it's the one sitting on top of the the crowd. Yeah.
And he has the really nice whiskey and he uses it then. It's the beautiful shot where he blows the puff of fire and you see them all going and then they swoop him.
It's been so long since I've seen Pitch Black, actually. Need to go and watch that again. Need to go and watch that soon.
Yeah.
And then Riddick, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's got
me. Well, I love Boss Johns and Riddick because that links back more to Pitch Black because Boss Johns is Johns' dad, and then you get more of the backstory between them about why him and Riddick have this animosity, even though he doesn't believe him that his son was a drug addict and was actually the disgrace to the unit.
Yeah, there's more in Riddick that links back to Pitch Black than
there is in Chronicles of Riddick.
I nearly wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to this, because Riddick doesn't really deal with anything of the Necromonger.
No, it jumps forward about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it jumps forward a bit, and he ends up back on his own. But the Necromongers are presumably still out there in the universe, going around.
Star Trekking across the universe.
Yeah.
Well, basically, the Necromongers expected him to act like the previous however many grand marshals, and he noped out of there, and they basically just went, you're not doing this job well, you're redundant, toss.
It's like when Homer becomes head of the Stonecutters in The Simpsons,
and it all
just goes to crap and they get rid of him.
Well, I figure a few people probably challenged him and tried to kill him, and he just murderated them. And it's like, well, that's not going to work.
But then he just
have to give it him some other way.
Title to Vaco, which implies a Vaco in 5 years. That, well, number one, the wife didn't have a go.
Yeah.
So unless he threw her off the ship, because she wasn't going to stop.
Yeah. But yeah, he doesn't he give control of the Necromongers back to Vaco?
And then Vaco leaves him on Furia and tries to kill him.
So
because he doesn't want him coming back, because children.
So everything that happens in this film, stopping the Necromongers, is all undone because
5 years
Vaco's back in charge.
They got a 5-year reprieve from the Horde, essentially, and the culling, and they're somewhere else in the universe if they've been looking for fear.
Plenty of room for a sequel.
No. Haven't they been moving across the universe in a straight line looking for the Underverse?
I don't know.
And if he's taken them back to look for Furia, haven't they backtracked on themselves? So they're going to find all fun new planets to destroy on their way back to the Underverse.
Definitely room for a sequel.
I mean, the Lord Marshal in this movie was talking about converting or killing all the humans in the galaxy before going to the Underverse. So they might have been like,
Did they originally?
Then we'll do this, and then we'll go up here, and then we'll go up here. And then there's the Underverse.
What?
It's Cricket. It's all got to go.
Well, no, because Cricket want to kill everything.
Yeah.
There's no conversion.
The Cricket Warriors.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the Cricket Warriors.
Yes.
This is all got to go to the galaxy, but it's the books. It's not. I don't think the Cricket Warriors are in anything else.
And if they sang a
No, I don't
song
think
so
so.
beautiful, it would allow Paul McCartney to buy the world if he'd bought it or if he'd written it.
Yeah.
I know this is completely off the rails, but I actually wrote a Hitchhiker's
We don't
Guide
have time
to
for
the
that
best-
here.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Best and Worst of British Science Fiction role-playing game.
Oh,
It
nice.
was about 6 or 7 sessions, but they started off with the characters from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They met up with Doctor Who and Layla and the Master. But then they met up with the Blake 7 crew and ended up with
Blake 7.
Avon on the team. And then they went to Red Dwarf and the cat showed up.
Yes.
Not Crichton, for shame.
Well,
No, I'll take Cat.
I kind of quizzed. I quizzed them about what was their favorite character in the show, and they all said Cat. So
no, Rimmer.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, and every week I had a theme tune. It was like done like a TV show, and I kept adding bits from the next series into the theme tune. And we were drinking Pangalactic Gargle Blasters while they were playing. I was GMing. But I got a standing ovation at the end of that, which has never happened before or since. But it was a fun little game. But I even had a Christmas episode on it was the Christmas planet, and they had to hike across the Christmas planet, and I had the thing from the book about the Shoe Event Horizon. Do you remember that one? That was from the audio book. The Shoe Event Horizon. The compressed layer of shoes, because all the shops ended up being shoe shops, and then they all went out of business.
Yes.
So I included the Shoe Event Horizon, and they ended up hiking across the planet, and they got to the Christmas temple, which was just basically a pyramid that looked like a giant Christmas tree. And they went inside, and the person playing Santa was Marvin. In one of his many times through the entire history of the universe, because I think he crossed the universe about the entire history of the universe 8 times. It was hugely funny.
And so, Ray, going back,
there was a movie. Sorry, there was a movie. Yeah.
What is your final thought?
My final thoughts on this movie and the entire series is: don't look too closely. You will find a huge number of holes. If internal consistency is your jam, there's no jam here. There's just dry toast. All right. So just don't look too closely. Enjoy the dry toast. And there's a lot. I mean, we went, this is a problem, this is a problem, that's a problem, this is weird, this is that. How did they have an atmosphere? But all that aside, it's a fun movie. There's lots of it's very Arnie Schwarzenegger kind of movie in that you've got a tough guy with one-liners and is, he challenged significantly a lot of times and manages to push through. And, there's points where you think he's dead, but then he gets up again and gets saved by people you wouldn't expect to save him, but that's because they're both from the same planet, and rah-de-rah-de-rah. And it all sort of works out in the end, kind of, sort of, but people die on him. But really, it's one of those stories about a guy who's not a nice guy. He has his own moral compass, and lots of people would consider it broken. But he has his reasons for doing his things, and it doesn't seem like that at the beginning of Pitch Black, because you're finding out about him from everybody else. And they're saying, "Oh, he's a bad man. He's killed all these people. He's done this. He's done that, and he's going to go back and be executed because he's done all these horrible things." And he's like, and he just says, "Well, no, there's people wrong with me, so I killed them, and that's my moral compass, and that's my code, and that's what I do." But I don't like helping people because people are scum. But if there's some people that I don't think are scum, I'll think about helping them. And he's got his moral code, and as you discover this, you discover that the man isn't intrinsically bad. He's just in a really shit environment, and he's dealing with it in the only way he knows how, which is kill the things that are going to cause me problems. And it's not that unusual to the Wild West. It's very Wild West sort of logic that he operates under. And he's not like going out and stealing people's money and wrecking people's lives. People come after him and he kills them. And I think that's fair enough. And he's asked to do things to save a whole bunch of people he doesn't know. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I've got to look after myself. But then he ends up doing it anyway because reasons. He sort of gets shanghaied into it. But in the end, he's a guy just trying to get by, and he's brutal and he's a killer, but the worlds that he ends up in are really harsh, and he does try to do the right thing by the people that he ends up caring about. So I don't think he's an anti-hero, but he's still a hero, and it is a good watch. There's a lot to admire about the storytelling in this. So I highly recommend it. Just don't look too closely, or you'll notice that you have no jam on your dry toast.
Nice. Okay, so moving on to the next and final segment.
The science in sci-fi.
So basically, I've worked out over the last however many episodes that we've done in season 2. I think we're in the late teens now somewhere. I don't have the number exactly, but I've noticed that there are certain movies and certain franchises and IPs that the science of science fiction works really well in, which is sci-fi based on humans that have come from Earth, and you can see a clear link to that. And they're doing day-to-day things, and the movie is showing future technologies that make sense in that context. And in those ones, like Star Trek and 2001: Space Odyssey and all this, you can say, hey, look at that thing. That's just like this thing that we came up with 20 years later. Woo! Science behind science fiction. Great. Okay, easy, done, job done, tick box, go off to the next one. And then you have movies like this, where the linkage to current history is so damn thin that you can't really link things particularly easily, and then I've just sort of painted myself into a corner. Having said that, I dug and this is all I could come up with. I'm sorry. I'm sharing something for the video viewers who watch this a month after it comes out in audio. But we're talking today about now I can't actually open this, so it's going to change the thing. Now where was it? Yeah, that one. Okay, I'm going to take that one over here so I can read it. And I'll go back to all. Okay, so Toombs' ship is a Flattery C-19. That's the name of the ship. It's a short-range skiff with moling capability, whatever that is. Used by the mercenary Toombs and rookie mercenaries to track Richard B. Riddick. So that's the quick description of what the ship is. So this is a picture that I'm showing here of the ship. We have it's sort of a small ship with a solid core, and it's got some wings sticking out, and it's also got these pylons with these sort of outriggers on it. And there's a couple of guys who are either very brave or very stupid hanging off of these things with their guns, and presumably they've got net guns actually because they're trying to capture the guy. And presumably it's so that they've got better fields of fire with their net guns to try and capture Riddick or whomever they're chasing at the time. Why the hell they couldn't have had like an underslung turret at the front and the back and have basically done the same thing because they're in a spaceship, so they can just be up above and drop the nets down below is anybody's guess. But there's a couple of guys hanging out there, balls dangling in the wind, and Riddick runs into a cave, which they follow him into with this thing, which seems like, that was a really poor choice, guys. Resulting in those guys getting killed and ripped off there, and Toombs losing his ship to Riddick and being basically hijacked back to Helion Prime. But if you have a look at these outriggers with the sort of pylons and the rigging stuff hanging off there, it's quite reminiscent of this little beauty here, which is a helicopter with a pylon underneath rather than across the top, because obviously a helicopter has blades at the top, so you can't put the pylons at the top like you could with that spaceship. But this has the platform across the bottom with a ballast and a guy sitting on one side, and he's actually working on 40,000 volt high tension power lines from a helicopter. Now, if you think that hanging off those outriggers and what happened to the guys in Chronicles of Riddick was dangerous and silly and a good way to die, this is too.
Actually, I think it's worse.
Yeah, this is very dangerous. Well, I mean, 40,000 volts or Riddick, they're both pretty much on the same level of dangerous. But this is pretty much the only way, because these high tension power lines are strung up over
40,000 volt blast with a rubber suit.
True, you're not.
I don't think a gimp suit's going to put off Riddick.
Yeah, you can't insulate against Riddick, but you can insulate against the electricity. Yeah, fair point.
But 40,000 volts is a lot of juice. These pylons for these high tension power cables, which are usually running major voltage from a place of power generation to substations to then step it down and send it out to houses. They can be strung up to 1 kilometer apart, which is I think it's like 0.79 miles or something like that, or 65 miles. But it's a long distance, right? So actually trying to get there from the ground is often next to impossible. So that's why they're doing it from a helicopter. So obviously the helicopter pilot has to be highly skilled. And the guy in the rubber suit working on the thing has to have balls of steel to do this sort of work. And I believe it's paid pretty damn well. But you can see there in that picture, and I'll describe this for the folks listening in, but there's a cable that he hooks up to the power line to ground the helicopter so that there's no charge jumping across to the helicopter to then fry the helicopter entirely. But yeah, this is pretty dangerous stuff. And this reminded me of what they had set up on the spaceship. Now, I'm not saying that the idea with the spaceship became this, because I think they've been doing this for decades now. But it was just sort of this parallel that I could see between the shot of the guys with the net guns and this particularly dangerous job of high tension power line maintenance. So that's about all I could come up with from this particular movie, because it is quite fantastical. There's not a whole lot of grounded technology within the movie. You've got ships that look like they're sucking in dark matter. So you're not going to see that anywhere on planet Earth at this point, or probably anywhere in the future. So, I know it's a stretch, but it's what I came up with. But that's one parallel that I came up with. So there you go. I had something more than nothing.
Awesome. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for not only putting up with me in the scheduling, but being in the show. It's definitely a lot of fun, and I hope you guys can come back for another episode.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for having us, and I hope you eventually find the rails again.
We want that. When you do, let us know.
When you do, and you bring us back on, put them to the side for the episode.
They're
that
out
we
for
come
maintenance,
on for.
Okay?
No,
if you happen to come across the rails for science fiction, please send them to Florida Man via
somewhere between Florida, Ireland, and Australia. You could find a set of rails.
Yeah.
Awesome. And again, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
You can find us on MonoRants The Boys, where we cover all of our superhero boys related stuff. And you can find us on MonoRants The Movies, where we cover all of our favorite movies. And you'll find us wherever you get your podcasts, basically.
Awesome. And with that, we thank everybody for being one more time with us. And we hope that you are back for our next episode. Thank you and goodbye.
You should have taken the money, Toombs. I should have taken the money.